I'd appreciate it if folk would come in, take seats so we can get started. It's 5 o'clock. You need to fix the clock back there. Please find a seat. We're about to start. Anybody know where? Good evening, everyone. I'll begin today's meeting by asking Vice President Wayne Walker to make a general announcement for our guests.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. Glad you're here. Glad to see you. We got a great night ahead of ourselves. But at every Board of Education meeting, a representative from the Deaf Hearing Communication Center is here to provide sign language interpretation of the proceedings. And as always, we express our gratitude. Representatives from the Office of the Family and Community Engagement are stationed in the lobby to help with the interpretation services. The proceedings of this meeting are being streamed live on the internet at www.philasd.org/live and can be seen on PSTV's Comcast Channel 52 and Verizon Fios Channel 20. The proceedings are also being recorded by the School District of Philadelphia. The school district's recordings are protected by the copyright laws of the United States and may not be used in any manner without the express written consent of the school district. By participating in tonight's meeting, members of the public acknowledge that the school district may use its recordings for any purpose without obtaining permission or paying any compensation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Before we get to our speakers and presentations, I'd like to bring to the public's attention that there have been 3 minor corrections to action items the board will be voting on this evening. None of the corrections impacts the substance of what the board is being asked to vote on. The correction action items were posted on the board's website earlier today and were noted as being corrected. Copies are also available in the back of the room should anyone wish to review them before we get to speakers and voting. The first correction is to action item 14, which is a contract for furniture and equipment. The change to this action item was correcting the start date of the contract from September 19 to September 20, 2019. The second correction is to action item 16, which is an energy performance contract with Johnson Controls. The correction removes the line accidentally inserted about maximum compensation authorized per option period because the action item does not include a renewal period option. The third correction is to action item 19, which is an amendment of contract with Allied Transport and Cardinal USA Fuel heating oil and fuel delivery to reflect that the board is being asked to ratify the amendment. The action item was initially planned for the August agenda but was delayed. The correction was made in order to include the period of September 1, 2019 through September 19, 2019 as part of the term of the contract, amended contract, in order to avoid any interruption in service and to maintain best pricing terms with the contractors. And with that, we'll begin our business this evening with roll call. Ms. Rout, please make an announcement about the board's executive session and then call the roll. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Apologies for my delay. I'd like to announce that the Board of Education met in executive session on Tuesday, September 17th, to discuss quasi-judicial proceedings, and prior to the public meeting today, to discuss purchase or lease of real property, information and strategy in connection with the following matters: In re application of Franklintown Charter Middle School, Pennsylvania Charter Appeal Board, docket number 2018-2, challenging the manner in which the board granted a charter, and Aspira Inc. of Pennsylvania versus School District of Philadelphia and Board of Education, number 190901805, Philadelphia County Court of Common Pleas, alleging breach of contract and violation of due process. Also discussed quasi-judicial proceedings and privileged and confidential matters. Now for the roll call. Ms. Danzy?
Present.
Ms. Ahaya Hinton is absent tonight. Ms. Fix Lopez?
Present.
Mr. Huang?
Present.
Dr. McColgan?
Present.
Dr. McGinley?
Present.
Dr. McIver?
Present.
Vice President Walker?
Present.
President Wilkerson?
Present.
Dr. Height? Thank you.
Board members, before going further, may I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our August 15th action meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Rout, please call the roll on this.
Thank you. Ms. Danzy? Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Abstaining as I wasn't present.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to, we have a very important part of our meeting coming. This is a big day for us. We have new members joining our board, and I'd like to invite Dr. Angela McIver to begin our Student Board Representative installation ceremony.
Hello. This is one of the most exciting parts of our job. We're going to start this evening with the introduction and installation of our new student board representatives. The decisions that we make affect all of our students, which is why it is so important for us as a Board of Education to incorporate student voice in our conversations and decision making. Prior to the end of last school year, a committee of students and educators ran a rigorous search for student board representatives. We received 44 qualified applicants from across Philadelphia. These applicants received a thorough review. Finalists received interviews from the committee, and our final candidates received interviews with Dr. Height. Before I go on, I would like to say thank you to the students and adults of our selection committee who put in many dedicated hours to bring us to this evening. I'd like to ask the members of the Student Board Representative Selection Committee who are with us tonight to please stand and allow us to recognize your hard work. Members of this committee included David Zaga, Jeanette Bob Wazinski, Tamir Harper, Ronnie Thomas, Alfredo Practico, who was our board representative last year, Julia Frank, Rachel Holzman, Nick Spiva, and Logan Peterson. And we need to give special thank you to Tyler Wims, who does such an exceptional job coordinating this work and bringing everyone together. Thank you, Tyler. Where is Tyler? Thank you all again. We could not be more pleased with the results. Now I would like to invite to the podium Chief Education Officer for the Mayor's Office of Education, Otis Hackney.
Thank you, Dr. McIver. Good evening, everyone. My name is Otis Hackney, Chief Education Officer for the City of Philadelphia, and on behalf of the City of Philadelphia and Mayor Jim Kenney, it is a pleasure and honor to be here this evening to welcome our new board members. Not only is our Board of Education in their second year, which I'm so proud of for this group, but tonight we're welcoming in our two new student board representatives. In Philadelphia, our students do more than watch change happen, they influence it. So your presence is very much required here in this space. Now more than ever, Philadelphians of all ages are working together for the future of education, and this is how we build a stronger city. So congratulations and welcome to the Board of Education, Doha and Amir. It was a pleasure meeting you downstairs in the board suite earlier. And welcome to your opportunity to do really important work here in the city of Philadelphia, and we're very fortunate to have you on our team. I'm sure during this time on the board, you will uncover many new things. You will learn a lot about the city, but I hope you also have some self-learning in this process in terms of your place and role in the city that you have moving forward. You'll be learning from your peers in school. You'll be learning from people in this room. You'll have the opportunity to encourage others to learn and strive towards their own goals. And I encourage you to make sure that you learn all that you can while you're in this role. Ask questions, challenge, enjoy the discourse in these spaces that you're going to be in, but make sure you bring that information back to influence the members of this group. And speak up for the students that you represent. You represent a cross-section, one from a district school, one from a charter school. You represent what this city has to offer, so we're really proud to have you here. And we are at our best when we all work alongside the populations that we serve. And it is an honor for many of us in this room to get to work alongside you. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm expecting you to make us proud. Thank you very much. I would like to introduce Dr. Height to make some comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Otis, and good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to also welcome our two students who will be joining the Board of Education as non-voting representatives. Amir and Doha, congratulations to both of you. I look forward to serving alongside you as we work together to improve the educational experiences of students across the city. I had the opportunity to conduct final interviews with both Doha and Amir, and was extremely impressed by their commitment to their studies, their interest in enhancing educational opportunities, and their opportunities, and the fact that they wanted to create more opportunities for their peers across Philadelphia, and their professionalism. Doha is a student at Lincoln High School and sits on my student advisory. I've had the opportunity to witness her incredible dedication to her academics, and especially to helping other students who are new to Philadelphia. I look forward to working with her in this capacity. And Amir, who's also been at a student advisory. Amir, I know you're on the Honor Council and Student Government, which shows your dedication to your school community. And I hear you want to become an educator as well. So I'm happy we'll have you both on the board, and we'll be gaining your insight on how we can better serve our students no matter where they attend school. So congratulations to both of you. We are all rooting for you as you embark on this exciting journey. And we're really looking forward to getting your input on issues that matter to all students. And now I'm excited to introduce first the assistant principal from Lincoln High School, Carol Rhodes, and to say a few words about Doha, and the CEO of Boys Latin, Noah Tennant, to say a few words about Amir. Ms. Rhodes.
Is she here? Oh, I thought that was Shakira.
Okay, if Ms. Rhodes is on the way here, I'll call Mr. Tennant up. Noah?
Is he? Oh, here he comes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Height. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about someone I'm very proud of. You know, you come into this field with aspirations of helping others grow and learn, but you quickly realize, even as the educator, how much growing and learning you're doing yourself. And it's often the students who become the teachers. And this next young man, Amir Williams, is one of the students who has taught and inspired me the most. So let me tell you a little bit about him. When I reflect on the attributes that make him stand out, what occurs to me the most is that he is stubborn. And I hope he and you hear that with the level of respect that I intend, because Amir is stubborn about success. He is fixated on it, and it is beautiful to see a young man with such strong convictions at his early age. His stubbornness is born from a maturity he realized early on, I think. He embraced the responsibility of leadership as a young middle schooler, frankly, even when others were not ready to be led. But now, as a senior, Amir has cultivated a unique ability to lead with grace, with deft sureness, with a heart of service, and a hand of support. Amir has a level of self-awareness that transcends his years. He interacts with sincerity, honesty, and authenticity. Surely Amir's classmates know that he prides himself on working hard, being successful, and serving our school community. In his teachers' eyes, likewise, he is revered for his insightful discourse and talents. However, to be clear, when Amir disagrees or has an opinion on how to make our school better, he is always willing to voice it. Still, of course, with respect, but always with a commitment to advocating for his classmates and his school. Amir approaches tasks with zeal and energy. He is one of the most reliable students I have worked with in my 20-plus year career. When he's given a responsibility, he embraces it and ensures that he lives up to the expectations, just like his mom taught him. He is an outstanding thought partner for school leadership, working through new ideas for how to best serve students. Amir has been a tremendous doer and thinker for our school community, and I look forward to the day when I can offer him a faculty position at Boys Latin. It was a delight getting the chance to serve as Amir's school principal. His dedication to his classmates and his school community, they've been a blessing to Boys Latin, and I believe that selecting him to be a student member of the School District of Philadelphia School Board will be a blessing for the entire city. So please join me in congratulating Amir Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant, and congratulations again, Amir. And I think Ms. Rhodes is not here, so speaking on behalf of Doha is Ms. Melissa Rasper. Ms. Rasper, welcome.
Thank you. So I just got the text on 95 with a screenshot of the speech for Doha. I was on my way to support Doha. I am the 9th grade assistant principal at Abraham Lincoln High School, and Doha was one of the first students that I met while she was in her sophomore year. So I am pleased to be here, but please forgive me, I have no glasses, and this was a screenshot. So Doha Ibrahim, daughter of immigrants who migrated from Iraq in the 90s, born and raised in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and she will never let you forget that she's from Canada. Oldest sibling out of 4, she's planning on majoring in international development and communications. She enjoys giving back to the community by helping out with Philabundance, local homeless shelters. She is the president of the Abraham Lincoln Student Association. She's involved in the Superintendent Advisory Board and citywide student government. She enjoys traveling and experiencing the other side of the world. And a little side note, we planned an entire year for her summer vacation in Iraq. Her most memorable event in her life was when she had the chance to visit her family back home in Iraq after 12 years this summer. She had a chance to connect with them, hear stories that have been passed down from generations, and hold on to black and white photos that she was able to collect while over there. Her inspiration is Malala. Her story has an effect on her because it inspires her to continue to fight for her education and others who are silent. Her favorite quote is, "When the world is silent, one voice becomes powerful." And that truly is Doha's inspiration. She is ambitious, she has courage. Compassionate are just a few words that her classmates use when they describe Doha. She was able to become student representative because she believes that she has the voice to change this generation. from my own personal opinion, I believe that Doha was absolutely one of the best choices for the student representative, and at this time, I would like to welcome Doha Ibrahim. Thank you.
Thank you to CEO Noah Tennant and our assistant principal. I don't have your name, but thank you for the presentation. I would now like to invite Board President Joyce Wilkerson to call for a voice vote to affirm Doha Ibrahim and Amir Williams and present the administration of the oath of responsibility.
Thank you, Angela. May I now proceed with a voice vote to affirm the selection of our new student representatives? May I have a motion and a second to affirm Doha Ibrahim and Amir Williams as student representatives on the Board of Education?
So moved. Second.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments by board members? Hearing none, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. I'll now administer the oath of responsibility. Doha and Amir, please come forward. Doha and Amir, please raise your right hands and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Home Rule Charter, Philadelphia Home Rule Charter, as it applies to the School District of Philadelphia, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. And I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations, and can we have a round of applause for our new student representatives? I'd like to have you come take your seats with the board. You don't get to sit in the back anymore. I want to have you come take your seat with the board. We're not going to invite one of last year's student board representatives, Alfredo Practico, to come to the podium and give some final remarks related to our new student board representatives. Alfredo?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the board for inviting me back. My name is Alfredo Practico. As President Wilkerson mentioned, I was a student member of the Board of Education last year. Unfortunately, Julia Frank, who was my co-representative, was unable to join us tonight, but she sends her support from afar. I am here tonight because I would like to extend a familial welcome to Amir Williams and Doha Ibrahim, who are tonight officially starting their service to the students of Philadelphia. I know both of them have been dedicated leaders in their own communities at home, and I'm sure that this position will present new challenges and opportunities that they will have never faced before. I urge them to rely most on themselves and their new family. While I fully expect them to take paths entirely differently than Julia and I did on our term, I'm sure that they will see many of the same struggles that we did. Regardless of what schools they visit or which students they meet with, I urge them to take careful notes, not just on what needs improvement and more funding, and I can assure you that they'll be able to fill notebooks with those notes, but also on what brings those students and those schools joy and progress. Each school meshes together differently, and observing that process is one of the most rewarding parts of the job. The work of Amir and Doha will be invaluable to the board. In order for the board to make decisions that are truly in the best interest of students, they will need to hear from and listen to the students. And I have no doubt that Amir and Doha will be incredible at advocating for their peers. I'm looking forward to see how you both continue to expand student voice in the district, how you grow this role, and how you represent the student population of the school district as a whole. And I wish you the best of luck in your term. Congratulations.
And I don't want to create any pressure on our new board members, but if Amir or Doha have any comments you want to offer at this point, I invite you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Doha Ibrahim, and I attend Abraham Lincoln High School. I would like to first acknowledge that I'm honored and humbled to be holding this position as a student representative for the year 2019 and 2020 school year. Being viewed as a leader in the schools I have attended is what built my confidence and helped me develop the necessary skill set to feel like I was prepared to apply for a position like this. My hope is that my personal dedication to representing students in the district, combined with the collaborative, hardworking efforts of Amir Williams and myself, will allow us to become trusted voices for this generation. I would like to thank my principal, Mr. Nelson, who couldn't make it, and my family members for being a support system I can lean on. A special shout out to the staff and students at Abraham Lincoln High School, and also to the Philadelphia Futures for always putting the hard work towards students. I can't wait to be working alongside with the Board of Education team as well as the entire school district. Thank you once again for this opportunity.
Hi. I didn't write anything because I wanted to be true and authentic in this moment, in this special moment. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has made an impact on my success. To Tracy, Imani, and Claire, thank you so much for the hard work that you have done for Doha and I. To Ms. Alexis Rylander for everything that you've done for me. Mr. Alam for being there for me all the time. I didn't expect to really get emotional. To Dr. Tennant for showing me that I'm a leader. Before I came to high school, I didn't expect to be taking leadership to this capacity, but thank you so much, Dr. Tennant, for everything that you've done for me. And to my amazing and gorgeous mother, who works so hard for me. Life has not been kind to her, and she still works her very hardest to, give me the opportunities that she never got. And I just want to thank you so much to everyone. Thank you.
I'd like to invite board members and the families of our new board members to come forward so we can have pictures taken.
Can I make a comment, Madam President?
Dr. McGinley?
I just want to take a moment to welcome both of our new board members, but I particularly want to welcome Doha because I've been the only person from Lincoln High School on this board for 14 months, and it's been a burden. But now we have someone else from Lincoln to help share the responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McGinley. Let's see. In the future, we'll have our student board representatives alternate speaking roles in action meetings. At this time, I'd like to ask you both to join us at the table and be prepared to participate if you want to. Thank you, board members and student board reps. Dr. Height, it's now time for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. Madam President, I want to start by addressing some of the concerns that have been raised about our facilities and what we're doing to keep our students and staff members safe. I hear what parents, staff, and others are sharing, urging, advocating about their concerns regarding safety of our schools and their environments. As a parent and as a grandparent, I understand the seriousness of and urgency around having accurate and complete information. My job is to make sure we are doing what we have to do to make all of our schools safe, welcoming places for children, families, and staff. And my job is to do that with the resources we have while at the same time relentlessly seeking the additional resources we need to make and keep our schools great learning spaces. What I commit to doing is to prioritize our work to address issues like mold, lead paint, and asbestos, to be accountable for the work happening and to keeping school communities completely informed about both the progress and challenges as they occur. I also commit to prioritizing our investments and future spending to make sure we are doing everything we can within our capacity to make and keep schools safe. I ask that we continue to work together for the benefit of children, families, and staff, and that our funders help identify resources we can invest to improve school facilities. I want to also be really clear, once again, that there's nothing that we take more seriously than the health and safety of our students and staff. We've made tough decisions before and will continue to make them in the interest of safety. We've taken locations out of service, halted construction to ensure proper safety practices and protocols are being followed, as we're doing for Ben Franklin and SLA now, and as was the case at Silas Cohen a year ago when students and staff were moved to a different location while issues were being addressed. That's why we've been proactive as we can with the resources we have to take care of many issues, as many issues as possible before they arise and after. And when we're aware of any potential serious threats to environmental safety, we respond quickly with trained personnel to assess it and identify an appropriate course of action, with imminent threats being handled first and within 24 to 48 hours. Yesterday, representatives from the school district met with the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers and the Philadelphia Healthy Schools Coalition to discuss opportunities to strengthen our approach to addressing environmental conditions in all schools. From this meeting, we identified some key action items with the following goals in mind: to better utilize data to prioritize and complete work in an equitable way, to better engage school staff and families so that everyone's clear on the work that's being done, and to receive feedback from the school and the school community, and to make environmental reports and related information more readily accessible and easier to understand. And to achieve these goals, we're committed to take the following actions: conduct a more comprehensive prioritization of work, which will allow all data on work orders, asbestos, and water quality reports and lead paint information to live in one place. Pursue an aggressive plan to eliminate all open asbestos work orders, and form a working group to better educate and inform staff and families about environmental conditions in our schools. We know our buildings are old. The average age school was built right around the end of World War II, with many built before that. We know that problems that arise when you have aging infrastructure. So I'd like to take a minute to thank our facilities and maintenance teams who've worked hard over the summer and during the school year to ensure schools are healthier, safer, and cleaner. As anyone can imagine, this isn't easy, and the work keeps them incredibly busy. So I'd like to thank them for their dedication and continued work in our schools. By coming together to work on this, we will be able to deal with these issues in a more swift, transparent, and comprehensive way, so that all students and staff have a positive experience in their schools. I'm now going to shift gears, Madam President, members of the board. I know it may be hard to believe, but we are well into the 1920 school year. I'd like to thank all of the principals, teachers, support staff, students, families for making the beginning of the school year a success. I was excited to start the day with our traditional bell ringing ceremony at Robert Morris Elementary School with students, parents, staff, and elected officials. Also had the opportunity to visit 6 additional schools throughout the first day, and it was great to see the teaching and learning already going on. I'd also like to thank everyone who participated in our social media challenge, #RingTheBellPHL. There were so many creative videos floating around, and I can't wait to see what everyone does next year. As the first weeks of school come to a close, I'd like to wish our students, teachers, principals, staff members, and families a happy and productive school year. President Wilkerson, many of our students this year attend the school. They do because of school selection. It opens tomorrow again for next year. This process allows students in grades K through 12 the opportunity to apply for up to 5 schools, including special admission, citywide, and neighborhood schools. It's a remarkable opportunity for students and families to choose the schools that are right for them based on their academic interests, career goals, and learning style. So whether you're a student interested in the arts, music production, social justice, international affairs, or health and sciences, whether you're looking for a larger or smaller school, there really is something for every student. That's why we're relaunching our #FindYourFit campaign, because we believe there's a perfect fit out there for all of our students. This year we want our families, as many families as possible, to be involved in the process for the 2020-2021 school year. No matter where students live or attend school, we want them to consider applying to schools that will best serve them and help them succeed. We're encouraging middle school students to check out the annual high school fair taking place tomorrow and Saturday at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. The schools will be represented there, and students will be able to talk with principals, teachers, and high school students, guidance counselors, and other staff members about the options that are available. School selection closes at 5 p.m. on Friday, November 1st. So we're encouraging students to get their applications in as early as they can. Students should talk with their counselors, principals, and teachers for guidance through this process. More information can be found online at philasd.org/findyourfit. Madam President, this concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Height. Do any board members or our student board members have questions for Dr. Height? Any comments? Seeing none, we'll move on then. It's now time for our committee reports. I'm going to ask co-chairs to speak on relevant issues. We'll start with our Finance and Facilities Committee, and Mr. Wong, I believe you're making the report.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And on behalf of my co-chair, Ms. Ahea Hinton, who could not be here today, I want to say welcome back to all of our students, staff, and families. I also wanted to pick up on the introductory part of Dr. Height's remarks, and we clearly have a lot of both financial and facilities issues, and I certainly want to use this opportunity to encourage participation in our Finance and Facilities Committee, and in particularly in our monthly committee meetings. Our first meeting since the school year started was last week, Thursday, September 12th, and all of these meetings are an important venue for both receiving information as well as voicing your concerns and having discussion around issues of finances and facilities. thank you to all of those who have participated, who have requested information, who have testified. We have appreciated your involvement and would just request that as many people as possible get involved in this way. It's an important part of what we can provide as a board, is that venue through our committee structure to pass along the information and to engender discussion around it. What we did cover in our committee meeting this month, a few things. We first want to extend a thank you to Danielle Floyd, Chief Operating Officer, and the entire operations team for all of their hard work over the summer. We had an unusually long summer because of a slightly early end of school year and a slightly later beginning of school year. While the rest of us were enjoying that in the form of trips to the beach and summer camps for our kids, the operations team was capitalizing on the extra time to get some important work done in the buildings while the students were away, and we received an update on that, and we appreciate that work. We also received an update on some important energy efficiency projects that we think are very important, particularly given the age of our facilities. It is important to retrofit them and to do so in ways that are environmentally sustainable. And we have a number of those types of projects that we've completed, a number that we've planned for this school year, and very much want to see this grow to scale. So we've been watching this very carefully, and Ms. Floyd provided some very good information for us on that. And thirdly, we received an update on transportation, the function of transportation, and particularly the 40,000 students who are driven on a daily basis by district bus drivers as well as contracted vendors, trying to understand the district's process for improving service and for providing a hotline and other mechanisms for parents to weigh in if there are any issues. As per our normal committee meeting structure, we discussed action items that will be taking that the board will be taking vote on tonight, just so that that information was out there. And lastly, I will just conclude by saying that our next committee meeting will take place on Thursday, October 10th at 3 p.m. in the Board of Education Committee Room, Suite 101. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wong? Our next report will come from our Student Achievement and Support Committee, and I believe, Dr. McIver, you're giving those comments?
Yes, thank you. Hello. Our committee held its first meeting of the school year on September 5th. We received information on school opening, including an update on staffing and key initiatives for this year. The update also included information on key trends from the school selection process. Additionally, we received updates from the Charter Schools Office on the new charter application process and renewal cohort for this year. Full presentations are available with materials of our meeting on the board website. Our committee discussed the following action items being considered on tonight's agenda. Action item 6, amendments to contracts with ACS Consultants, EBS Healthcare, and Progressus Therapy special education teachers. Board members questioned the increase in authorized compensation being requested by the action item. Dr. Bird, Chief of Schools, provided data on the use of outside contractors to fill special education positions in the past. He shared that the district does not anticipate using the fully authorized amount. Action item 8, contract with Delaware County Intermediate Unit for Computer Science Teacher Professional Development. Action item 9, contract with Drexel University for a computer science course and related services. Board members questioned the connection between these two action items and how they are related to a previous item regarding code.org. Dr. Bird shared that these items will allow district teachers to complete higher level courses in computer science. Additionally, staff will receive professional development on the code.org curriculum. Action item 35, contract with Newsela Comprehensive Digital Library. Board members asked for more information on this action item and how it was connected to the district's anchor goal for grade level reading. Dr. Savoy Brooks, Chief Academic Officer, shared that this action item expands on previous investments made in early literacy. This would provide students in grades 4 to 8 access to a digital library that is aligned with our English language arts curriculum. Teachers would have the ability to assign students grade level readings and track whether they have signed in to complete those readings. The district has also developed a communications plan to promote this resource with families. Action item 37, contract with Tailwinds LLC, aviation program at Frankfurt High School. Board members asked for more information on this action item. Dr. Bird shared that this item authorizes students in the aviation program at Frankfurt High School the opportunity to complete training for ground school and flight lessons to earn their private pilot license. Additionally, we received information from the Charter Schools Office on action items 39 through 47, which are applications for charter renewal. Ms. Grant, please come forward to provide us some information on the charter school items before us this evening, with particular attention to action items 39 and 40.
Good evening, Christina Grant, Charter Schools Office. Thank you, Dr. McIver. Again, as requested, we wanted to take the opportunity to present action items 39 through 47, which represent renewals for KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School, and then several renewals for schools related with the Mastery Charter Organization. Action item 39, KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School, which is a renewal. Action item 40, KIPP West Philadelphia Preparatory Charter School, which is the forfeiture of a charter, which I'll explain shortly. Action item 41, Francis D. Pistorius Mastery Charter School, which is a renewal. Action item 42, Hardy D. Williams Academy Charter School, which is also a Mastery school, which is also up for renewal. Action item 47, Mastery Charter School Cleveland Elementary, which is a renewal. Action item 44, Mastery Charter School Clymer Elementary, which is a renewal. Action item 45, Mastery Charter School Pickett Campus, which is a renewal. Action item 46, Mastery Charter School Simon Gratz Campus, which is a renewal. And action item 47, Mastery Charter School Shoemaker Campus, which is a renewal. Briefly, we took the opportunity to frame for you all of the schools that we are now recommending for renewal, the renewal year with which these schools came present. As you can see, some of the schools were up for renewal during the 15-16 cohort, 16-17 cohort, 17-18 cohort, and last year's cohort, 18-19. We framed out the next renewal year and took a brief look at our framework to make sure board members understood where these schools fell with respect to academic success, organizational compliance and viability, financial health and sustainability. All of these schools have been recommended for 5-year renewals at the time that they were recommended, and we have signed charter agreements from all of these organizations in possession, and we present them to you today. I wanted to carve out the item taking place with respect to KIPP because it is complex and wanted to be clear about what was happening. As per the School Reform Commission item 15 from June 16, 2016, if KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School was up for renewal, then KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School would be permitted to operate as a K-8 serving 860 students. And the KIPP West Philadelphia Preparatory Charter School would be forfeited. Just so we're clear, KIPP West Charter School opened in 2016-17. They were in last year's renewal cohort. They were originally authorized to serve grades K-4 with an original authorization of 375 students. That school is located at 5070 Parkside. We recommended that this school be renewed. They will come up for renewal again in the 2023-24 renewal cohort. They will now be authorized to operate grades K-8 with a maximum enrollment of 860 students at 2 sites. The K-4 students will remain at 5070 Parkside, and the 5-8 students will remain in their location at 5900 Baltimore. What this results in is KIPP Philadelphia Preparatory Charter School, which opened in 2009-10, was last renewed in 2017, had an original authorization of grades 5-8, serving 360 students, located at 5900 Baltimore. That charter will now be forfeited and returned to the system. So it will be one charter located at 2 sites with one enrollment of 860 students serving grades K-8. I will pause here to see if there are questions.
Are there any questions? Please continue.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McIver, does that complete your report?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our policy committee, and Dr. McColgan, please share your report.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the new academic year. We're really excited about our work this year and continuing the mission of assuring that every child has access to excellent education. On tonight's agenda, action item 1 is adoption of proposed board policies, which includes policies that were reviewed by the board in August. This item authorizes minor revisions to policy 717, mobile communication devices, and 717.1, computers and portable computing devices, such as updating language that reflects the Board of Education rather than the School Reform Commission. This item also includes the elimination of policies 321, political activities, 606, tax collection, and 612, purchases not budgeted. Due to our policy work, we recognize that these are 3 policies that are being recommended for elimination to avoid redundancy throughout our policy manual, as these issues are covered in other policies. The policy committee met for the first time this year on September 12th, and we discussed 5 policies. 122, extracurricular activities, 224, student care of school property, 333, professional learning, 340, employee roles and responsibilities in student welfare, and 615, payroll deductions. For 122, extracurricular activities, our committee requested that the district add language to reflect the board's request for a publicly accessible list of all extracurricular activities offered at every school, as well as the board's request for an annual report on the equity of student access to extracurricular activities throughout the district. Our next meeting will be held November 14th. We will review many policies at that meeting, and we encourage all of your participation for review of these policies. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for Dr. McColgan? I believe our final report will be district partnerships and community engagement, and that report will be provided by Ms. Danzy.
Deferred to our missing board member from last week, my partner, Ms. Fix.
You know, I was on vacation, right? Having a baby. So, okay. So, the District Partnership and Community Engagement Committee will hold our first public hearing on September 26th. That's next Thursday at 5 p.m. here in the auditorium. This is an open hearing, so you can come out to talk about whatever you'd like to bring to our attention. But at this meeting, we're also going to take some time to introduce this year's Parent and Community Advisory Council. We've talked a lot about them over the past year, but this will be an opportunity for you to hear directly from them. This year's council represents 13 members who represent 10 different zip codes throughout the city of Philadelphia. Again, they will be here to introduce themselves, to talk about why they're interested and why they're involved in this, and the wider reach that they hope to have on the Philadelphia community. Members of this council have been charged with going into their communities and collecting feedback surrounding action items and board policies. The public hearing will be an opportunity for you to come out and speak to the board on any education-related topic that you may want to share or discuss, and we invite you to come and meet the members of the council, as well as present to the board any pressing educational matters or concerns that you would like to share with us.
Thank you. Are there any questions or other comments concerning the public engagement community partnerships? Seeing none, next on our agenda is hearing from our student speakers, elected officials who are here tonight, and those who are registered to speak on action items we're considering this evening. We'll hear from speakers on general topics later on our agenda after we've voted on tonight's business. Do we have any elected officials making remarks? I don't see any here. Ms. Rock, would you please share our speakers' policy and then call our first 5 speakers?
Thank you, Madam President. On behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to thank you for your input on school district matters and issues, including the proposed actions on this evening's agenda. To respect every speaker's time, we will be strictly enforcing the 3-minute per speaker time limit. There is an electronic time prompt on the table. When the yellow light comes on, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your remarks, and when the red light comes on, your time is up. Student speakers, elected officials, and those speaking on action items have been prioritized on the agenda. Those speaking on general topics will address the board after completion of formal business. Up to 4 speakers will address the board on each topic. Written testimony submitted in advance of the start of this meeting will be included as part of the record of tonight's meeting. I'll call 5 speakers. I'll ask that you come to the front of the room when I call your name. Thank you. Maya Durst, please come to the table. Marilee Rodriguez, Alfredo Pratico, Zoe Rooney, and Jennifer Byers.
Press the button.
Hello, members of the school board and members of Philadelphia community. My name is Shervain Bryson. I'm a 7th grader at Meredith School. Thank you for allowing me to speak for the students at Meredith School about the asbestos issue that is having an impact on Meredith schools and schools throughout the district. Not only is this a physical issue, but this also has a profound emotional effect. I've come to express our concerns and ask questions for the students and for myself. I hope students, teachers, and administrators can collaborate in order to develop and execute solutions for this pressing issue. This issue cannot be sugar-coated. We need to be transparent because the more messages you glaze over the issue, the more you detract from the issue by saying how great everything is around the district. The worse the rumors become. At our school, the students asked for a meeting to be held to address the rumors and to ask questions. Our teachers and support staff listened to us and helped us determine what is factual and what is misinformation. The responses we received were most importantly honest and straightforward. Our voices were heard. Our school has definitely been fortunate enough to have the gym blocked off and have asbestos fully removed. While this is a step in the right direction, there are many other areas in our school that need work, and a fair amount in our minds is that other schools in our district have higher levels of exposure of asbestos that need to be removed. Our community demands a change. Every student deserves and has a right to healthy and safe learning environments. A group of students met with students throughout Meredith, and we collected a list of questions for which we would like to be answered. What are the symptoms? If I have been in Meredith School since kindergarten, how likely am I to develop the health issues related to asbestos and other poor air quality conditions? Why are we still at school if there's asbestos? Why aren't you and other adults openly talking to us and providing information and support? Why has it taken so long to address the asbestos around the school district? Now that Meredith is being fixed, what is the plan for other schools? How much exposure is too much? Thank you for allowing me to represent my school and listening to our concerns. If you need our help, please let us know. We are students of action and we want to support our peers throughout the district.
Marilee Rodriguez.
Good morning. Good afternoon. The beneficial effects that the Superior Agency has introduced to Stetson these past few years are incomparable. The positive normative culture and high expectations set for each individual students is truly life-changing. I've never been in a school with so many supports. Norms for the campus, classrooms, lunchroom, expressive arts, and even the bathroom. And norms for norms, if that makes sense. One thing I realized is that these things needed to be set in place not only for the safety of the students, but for life. Laws are for the lawless, rules are for those who can't properly discipline their own lives. I'm constantly learning that on a daily basis that since I am growing up, I need to properly set these expectations and disciplines for myself. I learned this at Stetson. When it comes to my academics, the staff does everything in their power to try to get me ready for high school. They teach me to set goals in my life. I appreciate how they never seem to think about giving up on me, even when others close to me did in the past. The staff constantly reminds me of future and how close it is. They tell me that I need to take this thing called life seriously. According to the PVAS scores, all Stetson students met the academic expectation for math and ELA growth in 2018. We also have a community center. It hosts families in the community with food, clothes, resume, and building and jobs. The community center has a washer and a dryer that helps. This helps the students come to school with clean uniforms. Also, our schools was part of the game show, The Classroom on Fox 29. My experience was wonderful, and host Richard Curtis made it even better. I can't tell you who won until it airs, but stay tuned. In conclusion, taking John B. Stetson from a spirit agency would negatively affect so many children. Stetson is our family. Stetson helped raise us. Stetson disciplines us. Stetson supports us. Stetson motivates us. Stetson is us, and we are Stetson. Do not take the only thing that's working in our community, Stetson.
Zoe Rooney.
Hello, my name is Zoe Rooney, and I am an educator and a parent of 2 children in the district. I'm here to speak to you tonight about Action Item 35, which is a proposed 5-year contract with News ELA with compensation not to exceed $1,595,000.50. That's $1.5 million. Even over 5 years, that's a lot of money. I like News ELA a lot. I used it when I used to teach 5th grade, self-contained, and I think it's a great resource. That said, I don't think it's a resource that we should be spending $1.5 million on right now. To access and make full use of the premium features that the district wants to pay for, students need to have access to one-to-one technology. That is not the reality at many of our schools, so why are we proposing to spend this money on another online resource not everyone will be able to use? There's a free version of News ELA that has a lot of the primary features that teachers might want to use. The downfall is that when using the free version, teachers are more reliant on printing out articles, and teachers don't get much paper to work with each year. Instead of funneling more money into contracts, and especially contracts that are for more software, more screen time, more data online tracking our students that could be hacked like EamesWeb was, spend just a little bit of that on paper so teachers can print more articles if they want. Then spend the rest on restoring libraries with certified librarians to our schools. Years of research tell us, and I'm quoting from the Phi Delta Kappan here, fully integrated library programs with certified librarians can boost student achievement. And that's not even touching the facilities issues and other concerns on the table across the district right now. Stop throwing millions of dollars at these contracts when there are more foundational, pressing issues that need to be addressed.
Jennifer Byers. Is Jennifer Byers here? Okay, I'll call the next group. Carol Klimnick, please come to the table. Ashley Harris, Linda Rubin, and Deborah Grill.
Okay, good evening. First, welcome to the new student board members, Dohia Ibrahim and Amir Williams. Data is my topic. The district has declared its data devotion. Where's your data showing how the Renaissance Charter program is performing? Although 5 of these Mastery Renaissance Charter schools up for approval tonight were recommended for 5-year renewals with conditions by the Charter School Office, when they first came up for a vote, the conditions have now been disappeared by the Charter School Office. The renewals specify that they do not include any school-specific conditions. What was removed that Mastery did not want to implement? The public was never told what the conditions were, so we have no way to know what was rejected by this charter operator. The district conducts all charter renewal agreements in secret. The SRC treated charter schools as clients, and the board is continuing that practice. Next in Data World is the new Comprehensive School Planning Review. The newly hired Flow Analytics, based on the West Coast, will be developing and collecting data. Is this simply a cover to start merging and closing schools? A school community is much more than a collection of data. Our schools have been stripped of resources to even provide the basic healthy school building. Thanks to the notebook, we know that Vanessa Benton, former banker, Broad Institute fellow, and Mastery employee, is one of 3 new internal hires for this project. Questions: 1, how much will Flow Analytics be paid? 2, who are the other internal hires and what are their positions? 3, when does community engagement start? This already feels like stakeholders will have a prescribed role to provide cover for what the district wants to accomplish. I want to know how my 6 questions will be answered if no one can address them now. Many questions have been asked at board meetings and never answered. The SRC started responding by providing a paper with both question and answer at the next meeting. How is the board going to handle answering our questions? You are government officials spending our tax dollars. You have not been elected, but part of your governing responsibility is to answer our questions asked at a public meeting. So I'll wait for an answer, because I think everybody wants to know how our questions will be answered.
I'll answer you. Your questions are answered at committee meetings where we have an opportunity to discuss these items at length. And you've been at committee meetings and you're aware of that. That is the place where information is shared with the board and the public. That is the place where people have an opportunity to respond and ask questions. And that's where we answer as many questions as possible in the time allowed.
Okay, but I'm asking questions here in public. And that's what I would like an answer to. How are you going to answer them? You know, the committee meetings do not always allow for any kind of dialogue or answers to questions. And you've been frustrated too by not getting answers.
I will speak for myself. I often appreciate your comments, and our meetings, our committee meetings are all done in public, and the agenda is posted, and people are aware of what we're doing. It's not a private conversation, it's a public conversation.
You also asked about the comprehensive process that the district will be launching, and Dr. Height was going to share something about the schedule for that.
Yeah, we're actually doing a presentation for the public at the next board meeting. Ms. Kimlick, on that.
Okay, so in October.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it still didn't answer the question about questions being asked tonight.
Our next speaker, please.
Thank you. Ashley Harris, please come to the table. Is Ashley Harris here? Okay, Linda Rubin.
Where was Ashley? What list are you looking at? Sorry. What's that different list? Okay.
Tonight, you are going to vote on the renewal of 8 charter or schools whose operators for the past 2 to 3 years refused to sign their contracts because they objected to your right to add conditions to rectify their school's deficiencies. They pulled a power play to see who'd flinch first, and frankly, we're not sure who did. The charter office now states that they've gone away with the use of conditions. In fact, the only information given is the very vague, the schools now meet the district's guidelines. What changed? We don't know, and you're not telling us. Even when board members at the Student Achievement Committee asked, the CSO said, the CSO is glad to be at this point with Mastery and looks forward to presenting their renewals to the board. Some of these schools are even being rewarded with enrollment increases of unknown numbers. The school district is funded with a limited amount of money. Charter organizations are businesses that return again and again to increase their overall footprint and expansion through more students, increases to number of grades served, and relocation of schools across town, even for kindergarten and first grade students. And later, these too will return for more. It never stops. Every dollar the board allows to be funneled to charters depletes the number of dollars to be spent on our own Philadelphia students in district-run schools, to whom we also owe the right to a quality education in schools close to their home, as Dr. Haidt is wont to say. Charter operators use their seemingly unlimited sources of private funding to bash the board and our schools to the public in the media, and to lobby Harrisburg via political donations, which, for Michael Karp, was successful enough to get the law changed conveniently to apply to just his school. Fairness and equity have to run both ways, but charter organization operators only use those terms for show. They're in it because there's money to be made. This week alone, Franklintown Charter Organization, whose schools are mostly white and with children of higher income backgrounds, got the Charter Appeals Board to upend your oversight of their application and enrollment process to ensure sufficient diversity in race, income, and zip codes served. Aspira Inc., with their very politically connected attorney, Ken Trujillo, is suing the district again to keep open 2 of its schools mired in poor academic achievement and financial misdoings. Aspira Inc., the organization that the PA Auditor General in a public press conference called the fox guarding the henhouse. Please stand up to these people. Go public. Make an argument. It'll cost you in legal fees, but it already is. And don't approve any new charters or increases of any kind to existing charters. Start overseeing all charters as you do all public schools. Thank you.
Deborah Brill. Good evening. First, I'd like to welcome our new board members, and I hope you have a wonderful year. As a former reading teacher, I'm well aware that background knowledge is important to reading comprehension, and I applaud your acknowledgement of that in an attempt to provide it via action item number 35. Newsela is an online resource predominantly full of news articles. But news articles are not the only source of background knowledge. What about fiction? From fiction, students can learn about emotions, relationships, aspirations, and as you explained in item 33, the human condition and psychology. Of course, a certified school librarian would be able to coordinate a print and online collection of fiction and nonfiction resources in a school library and work with teachers to meet the reading needs of all students. As I said here before, research over the past 3 decades shows a positive correlation between the existence of a quality school library program and reading achievement, especially in students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. I know it costs more to sustain school libraries than it does to provide a program like Newsela, but you can't truly educate children on the cheap. Items 41 and 47 are definitely one of the reasons the district is forced to cut corners. As Mr. Munson has said, charter schools' costs are the fastest growing expense in the district budget. Using the 2019 SDP budget charter school allotments, the 7 schools will cost the district $88,324,724 for 1 year. Over 5 years, and I understand that allotments vary from year to year, and I'm not clairvoyant, so I have to stick with the 2019 numbers, the cost will come to almost $500 million. That's just for 7 schools. 7 schools which are still in the intervene category in academic achievement as far as the latest SPR ratings go. I assume the allotment figures don't account for the standard costs that the district incurs when district students go to charter schools. There are 87 brick and mortar charter schools in Philadelphia. The cost to the district must be staggering. School libraries in healthy buildings are only one of the many resources district students have lost, in part to charter tuition payments to brick and mortar charters as well as cyber charters. As another round of applications for new charter schools and charter renewals begin, district parents as well as the public need to be made aware of the cost of additional charters and the renewal of those that haven't performed anywhere near up to what they promised.
They need to know how much money is diverted from their child's classroom and school buildings. They need to know one of the major reasons that their children don't have quality school life.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers on today's topics? It's now time for us to discuss and vote on this month's action items. Before we begin, I want to be clear about how we'll be grouping these votes. All the charter items will be called at the end, and they'll be called individually. We'll also be taking separate votes on personnel items. That would be action items 3 and 4. As noted on the agenda, action item 5 has been withdrawn. The items we're going to vote on as a group then will be action items 1 through 2, 6 through 38, and 48. We'll begin tonight's vote with this group. Board members, before we vote on this group, does anyone want to pull any additional items from the consent agenda? Mr. McGinley? Dr. McGinley? Lincoln graduate?
Both of us would like to single vote on 6, 35, and 37.
6, 35, and 37.
Thank you.
May I add to that? And I don't know if this is where we have a discussion about this, but I do, not yet.
Just if I'm going to call for a consent agenda, considering votes in one group. If you don't want an item to be considered as part of that larger group, let me know and we'll call it up individually so that it can get separate consideration.
So wait, I just want confirmation. We pulled 35 and 37 from that group, from that 35 and 30.
6, 35, and 37.
6, 35, and 37
6, 35, and 37
will be considered individually together with the charter items and items 3 and 4. Are there any other items board members would like to have considered separately? All right then, may I have a motion on items 1 and 2, 6, 5, 7 through 34, 36, and 48.
So moved.
38 and 48. Let me run over that again. The items are 1 and 2, 7 through 34, 36, 38, and 48. We're going to consider those with a motion. May I have a motion on those items?
So moved, Madam President.
Is there a second on just those items? Are there any questions about the items that were called? Seeing none, Ms. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam President. Board members, you're going to vote on action items 1 to 2, 7 to 34, 36, 38, and 48. And I understand there are a couple of abstentions, so please state them specifically as to the action item when I call your name. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
I would like to abstain on action item number 9, and I am a yes to the remainder.
Thank you. Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. McGinley?
I would like to abstain on action item 28, the memorandum of understanding with Temple University, Lewis Katz School of Medicine, and on everything else, I'm a yes.
Thank you. Vice President Walker?
Yes.
Thank you. And President Wilkerson?
I'm abstaining on action item 28 regarding the memorandum of understanding with Temple University, Lewis Katz School of Medicine. I'm voting yes on everything else.
Thank you.
And you missed me.
I'm sorry, Dr. MacGyver?
Yes.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Our next item that we'll consider then is item number 6. I'm sorry. Items 3 and 4, we'll consider those as a group. Is there a motion and a second with respect to items 3 and 4? These are personnel items.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions about those items? Seeing none, Ms. Rock, please call the roll.
Thank you, Ms. Dancy. Ms. Dancy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. MacGyver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 6, which is amendments to the contracts with ACS Consultants, EBS Healthcare, and Progressus Therapy for special education teachers. Is there a motion and a second to consider these items?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions, Dr. McGinley?
I don't have a question. The amount of this contract is in excess of the need, and it was reported at the meeting that the current contract is not fully exhausted. So on this item, I'll be a no when we get to voting.
Does the administration have a response on that?
We do, and I'm going to call up Larissa Shambo, who can talk about why that is structured that way. Ms. Shambo.
Good evening. You are correct to state that we anticipate we will not be filling the full amount. So we have voted, I believe, to authorize 60 contracted special education teachers in the spring. Looking at the numbers from the previous years, we've in the past had 55 in last year, but we had 82 the previous year. We started this school year with 45 contracted special education staff, and so we have not exceeded the 60 that we've already been authorized. What we are concerned about is if we get to that 82 that we were at 2 years ago, we will need to come to the board for authorization. So this is really more of a proactive measure, understanding our first goal is always to find a full-time employee of the district. This is when we have exhausted that measure. We right now have, I believe, 25 special education vacancies, and we are going to be adding, we don't know the exact numbers yet, but we will be adding approximately 10 through the leveling process. So we know we are going to be increasing our special education vacancies in the next week or so. So agreed that we don't anticipate we will get to the 100. It was in essence to ensure that we don't have to come back if we estimate 80 and we end up needing 82 like we needed 2 years ago.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question.
Ms. Fix Lopez.
Maybe two. So it says in this that the contract provides an additional source of up to 40 more qualified teachers. Are they certified teachers?
I believe they are, yes. Yes,
And
they're from different sources from us.
So, and this might be a naive question, but the justification, the rationale in here is that we have trouble recruiting special ed teachers and that's why we need it. So how are they able to recruit the teachers and we can't?
Excellent question. So it's an addition to our efforts. So we obviously have targeted campaigns and look to, even amongst our own existing staff, to indicate if there's a desire to get an additional certification so that we can ensure that we're using our own teachers to become dually certified, for example. That's a recruitment strategy for us. Some of these are very specialized services for medically fragile students, emotionally disturbed students, and so they're not necessarily sort of from our broad recruitment campaign, one that we have as much of knowledge of for recruitment. So it's an additional recruitment source. I would also add, per the certification question, that when we were looking at last year, of those that were identified from these other companies, I think we ended up hiring approximately 20 as full-time employees into the district, into permanent roles. So they're no longer contracted teachers, they're now our teachers. So in essence, we use them as an additional recruitment source.
Are there any other questions?
I did have
Dr.
another question about this, and I think this has come up in previous board meetings, is that when these contract employees are in district buildings, there is a real disconnect in terms of who is supervising and what kind of, if the teacher needs support, or the employee needs support, where do they get that from? And there seems to be a lot of disconnect in that regard, and I don't know if that has been addressed.
So I will be fully transparent that that is not something that I've had conversations about. I would say on the supervision piece, they are an employee of an employee of the company, but they are reporting to the school, so the principal would be supervising them. If there are issues on disconnects between their guidance, I think that would be something we would want to know about so that we could work specifically with that principal and the contracted company. So if there's specific incidences, I think I would definitely want to work with the Office of Specialized Services on that. but I don't really know much more about that right now. I can look into it if you'd like.
Yeah, I just think it would be useful to have an understanding of how how they are being, incorporated into the school community and supported in that way, but separate from this.
Okay.
I do have one more comment. I'm just worried that this becomes a crutch because you talk about like in the future if we need to access this money. And to me, if we're I understand the need to fill vacancies, right? And I understand it's another recruitment strategy. But if we're constantly looking like this of like if we need it, we can access it, then it becomes a crutch and that internal recruitment to me becomes secondary. And so the recruitment strategy for the district then is like, well, we have this. So let's focus our recruitment resources otherwise. And I know that's not necessarily what is happening, but when we're not able to recruit, yet they are, to me, there is a disconnect somewhere.
So I would say that for us, our focus is really first and foremost on ensuring that we are fully staffed, and that as an example of why this in essence hasn't been a crutch for us is that we opened the school year this year with fewer vacancies than we have had in many years. We only had 40 total and only 16 special education. And so with this, we had this contract in place for 60 and did not utilize all of it to ensure that we were down to 16 at the start of school. There have been resignations and retirements since then, which is why we are now at 25. But I think for us, we don't view this as where we would want to go. It's where we need to go when we've exhausted our own.
Are there any other questions?
There is just one more, and it's only because Mallory brings up something. Then why not this extra money? Why aren't we putting it back in talent and recruitment with the district? Why aren't we?
Sorry, what extra money?
The money that is being allocated for this contract is above and beyond what you anticipate needing at this moment. So why not we give you the money that we need at this moment, and that extra we become proactive within our own office of recruitment and talent, and put that there towards looking for bringing them in through the district.
So I would definitely say that we have actually put a lot of money into recruitment in the talent office. As I am new to the district, I was pleasantly surprised to see how many recruiters we have. We have one individual that its only job is to recruit special education staff. And so we have invested more staff in recruiters within my department in order to ensure we are expanding our reach. Even with that, there's still an ongoing need for special education teachers. And so this isn't, to me, an either or. It is a both and.
Seeing no more questions, hearing no more questions, it's been moved and seconded.
Just say something.
Doctor.
Just say something to that, because it's not, I think we're thinking about it as like another pot of money. It pays the salary of the individual who's in the position. And it pays the salary whether we get them through our selection process or whether we get them through this process. And so I know there are a lot of teachers in the audience. The goal is to fill the vacancy as quickly as possible so that other individuals may not have to cover that class, and using whatever mechanisms and means we have available in order to do that as quickly as possible, because we know during certain times of the year, there are just not candidates available, and this is in one of those areas. And where there are candidates available, we're trying to hire each and every one of them. So it's not another pot of money or additional money. It pays the salary of these individuals, whether they're with us or with this provider.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Rauch, please call the roll. This is on item number 6.
Ms. Danzy?
I'm voting yes, and I'm voting yes because, one, I know that not just this district, but districts across the country have difficulty getting special ed teachers. Two, I also know that a lot of times when they will work with a contract, it's because they don't want to be where they're with just one district, because they figure I may have a better opportunity next year and I want to go there. And three, having worked in an arena where we had to do these kind of things, it's really a proactive move so that you don't have to keep coming back every meeting or so in order to get increased resources, because it's not used if it's not, if it's not needed. And so I'm voting yes.
Thank you. Ms. Fix-Lopez?
So I do have confidence that the district has really been working on recruitment and has a strategic plan for recruitment. I think we have seen improvements. For that reason, I'll vote yes now, but I do think we really need to keep an eye on this, in particular for these really hard to staff positions, but with vacancies, also making sure that they're not concentrated in the most high needed areas. So we have fewer vacancies, but we have more in certain concentrated areas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
No.
Dr. McIver?
No.
Vice President Walker?
I respect the prudence of the district in the event they need additional funds without having to come back to the board. I also appreciate the way that Board Member Danzy articulated it. And so I am voting yes.
Thank you. President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you. The action item passes by a vote of 6 in favor, 2 against. Thank you.
Our next item for consideration is item number 35, which is the contract with Newslia Comprehensive Digital Library Academic Support. Is there a motion to consider this item?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments offered on this item?
I wanted to make a comment from the Student Achievement Committee because this came up in Student Achievement Committee. We had a number of questions, some that were mentioned. We wanted information about how this is tied to anchor goals. One of our other concerns was that this is a product that is available solely online to students, and it is intended for students to use outside of the classroom, but we have no understanding of accessibility and how many students are or not able to access this, do or do not have access in their homes. So it wasn't clear, and I think it is useful for the board to hear that conversation before making a decision on voting on this.
I had some.
Are there any other questions? And then we can ask for somebody from the district to come up to respond.
Yep. I did have questions, and I apologize. I missed the Student Achievement Committee, but I was at a board back-to-school night for my kids, too. But I had questions, and this sounds like a very exciting program, something I, excited that my kids would get to use, et cetera, et cetera. But my questions were, is this something that's going to be incorporated into the curriculum? And is it something that the teachers and principals expressed that they wanted to use and would use?
And are there any other questions? We can call somebody from the district up.
Dr. Savoy Brooks is coming up. Yeah.
Good evening, Malika Savoy Brooks, Chief Academic Officer for the School District of Philadelphia. We actually are using, I'm going to start with your question first, Dr. McColgan. We are purchasing Newsela because teachers are already using the free version of Newsela. It is aligned to our anchor goals, Anchor Goal 1 and Anchor Goal 2. Anchor Goal 1 is 100% of our students will be college and career ready. Based on our current data, we need to ensure that students have an opportunity to apply the skills that they're learning in school, and also we're developing a love of learning and a love of reading, independent of the adult. Anchor Goal 2 is 100%, all 8-year-olds will read on grade level. This is most important for us right now because we want to ensure that we're scaffolding it and building a foundation for our students so that when they get into the 4 through 12 range, that they have, if they have practice in reading informational text and are able to do well in content areas. The other question, it is going to be included in our scope and sequence. There's an alignment to the content in the scope and sequence. In addition to that, I think it was another
There were
question.
equity issues. We have students who don't have access to
Yes.
computers. And
So the other thing is that we are downloading the articles in PDF, so every teacher will have access to them, so they won't have to worry about that. Lastly, regarding access, after the action item is approved, recognizing that every student may not have access to internet service in their homes, The Office of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment has a communication plan to ensure that they're partnering with the Office of Strategic Partnerships so that we're ensuring that our partners know that the students have access to that, and we're contacting the libraries so that the libraries know that our students have access to that. It's also available on people's, children's or adults' phones too. There's an app that they could use for that also.
So the families can use it on their phones? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
The families can use it on their
Yes.
phones?
Mhm.
And you said they're using something already, using something similar?
A free version. Someone said that
A
earlier.
free version.
The free. Chris Schaefer, Deputy Chief
Can you
Curriculum.
speak more directly into the?
Chris Schaefer, Deputy Chief Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Newsela was and did have a free version before. That is no longer the case. Teachers will have to pay for that and would get 3 articles a month. With this agreement, our teachers would have access to all the resources on the site and 5 to 7 articles a day, totaling close to 1,000 a year over a 5-year term, which we will and PDF on a daily basis.
Ms. Fix-Lopez?
Yeah, I do have one comment. Because the paper issue is a real issue. Having worked in the district, I drove around with a case in the trunk of my car the entire time I worked. And so you're downloading those, but how do we address that?
If a network, a principal, a teacher say that they need access and want us to print, then the Office of Curriculum and Instruction will print it. That's not, we said that in the Student Achievement Committee meeting. We are also making them available online so that even if they download them and children have them on computers, they have access to them then too. Go ahead.
Make a clarification about the PDF. So right now it is accessible online. What we've agreed to is to not only have that accessible online, but also to provide it on our website, SchoolNet, so that teachers can have access to that, and if they wish to print out 1 article or 2 articles, that they could do that.
Help in printing.
Yeah.
Say that. That's what it is.
And if they need help in printing, we'll surely do that.
Are there any other, Dr. McGinley?
I have a couple questions, Dr. Brooks. We don't have data on how many children have access in the home to the internet. We don't have any information about that. Is that the case? Because that was a question that came up at the committee meeting.
70% was documented on the census.
Okay. And when you say that this is going to be incorporated into the scope and sequence, the scope and sequences of what content areas?
It will be various content areas. So they'll look at the article and see whether or not it's science related, math related, social studies related,
Okay.
and connect it to our quarter at a glance.
And the way the resolution is listed, it says compensation not to exceed $1.6 million, not rounding off. And so why is it not to exceed? Is there an exact amount for this for a 5-year term? Or why is it listed as not to exceed?
Yeah, that is the exact amount. What we're stating is we're not going to go over for any additional services.
So it's not based on the use that we could get to that amount?
Correct.
Okay, so it's 5 year, that's the full amount for the 5-year period?
Correct.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just needed a couple clarification. When you say 70% have access to online, is that via computer or does that include phones and other tablets and electronic devices? Because when I was at St. Christopher's, my colleagues and I did several different surveys where we found, and there have been others across the country where, 96% of the population, 98% had access to cell phone or tablets. So is that just computers or is that all devices?
I don't have the answer to that question. I'll have to take a look at it. It's just a number that we use in the census work.
Okay. And then my other clarifying question, I don't know if it was answered. You said teachers were using the free version of Newsela, but I don't think I got a response to the question of, did we have any outreach to teachers to see again if this is something that they wanted? How did we communicate with teachers for this?
Yes, we've had several teachers reach out to us and tell us about. We've had several teachers reach out to us and ask us about this resource because they were able to use the free version. They knew this was happening with the per pay, and that's one of the reasons that our curriculum office was in contact with New Zealand and talked about and started to look into the resources that they had available to help support our kids.
But that still, I don't know that still doesn't answer my question, though. So several teachers said they were interested in it. We started looking into it. I get it. And again, it sounds really very exciting, but I still don't have a good sense of, did we reach out to the teachers to see, again, if there was or principals even, to see if, or assistant superintendents, if this is something that they're interested on, that they're actually going to use. One of my concerns, and I think we have tremendous opportunity, again, across the country, not just here, in using technology to enhance education. I'm not sure that we're doing that well, and that we're buying things, and I want to be sure that we're buying things that are being used and not overlap with other things we have. And I know I've asked this before, some sort of like audit or sense of what are all the programs that we contract every year and where they're being used, et cetera. And so I don't want to add another one on if it's not going to actually be used. Although, again, this one sounds very interesting to me.
May I just add that at the...
Well, let her...
Okay.
If you have a response to Dr. McColgan on utilization and what the district does to monitor or assure utilization.
We monitor the blended learning programs and we monitor usage on a monthly basis. With the Office of Information Technology. We did not do a survey of teachers and assistant superintendents to see if they were using it. I think the idea was more that it wasn't going to, although it can be used in the classroom, but the idea was that students had access to literature and text in their homes.
Will we be able to monitor the students' utilization going forward?
Yeah, we'll be able to monitor that through SchoolNet, and also just we can survey our teachers, which we do, to pull that information.
Thank you. Dr. McIver?
May I ask one more question? Because I think at committee meeting, though, we were told something different. At committee meeting, we were told we would be able to access how many students actually logged in and how regularly they logged in. So that's
in SchoolNet.
Okay, so it will automatically go into SchoolNet?
Yes.
Even if they access it at home?
They have to log in to
They have to log into SchoolNet to access the website.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. McIver, you have the last question.
No, this was just a general comment. We had a very robust conversation around this at the action meeting, and I'm wondering if it is if this is something that we
are we beating E?
Are we what?
Never mind.
There are a lot of questions here tonight. Is what would the consequences be of delaying this?
Are there
until we got
issues?
some more
Are there
information?
issues that have not been addressed that you want specific answers to?
Yes, and those were questions that we had at the achievement meeting. I don't think at this point those questions that we had at the achievement meeting have been answered fully, and we have more questions from the rest of the board that have come up.
So if
as
you
a
want to make a
result.
motion to table, you can do that, and we'll see what happens with that motion. Otherwise,
we could
Do we have to vote on the first motion, or?
It's been moved and seconded. If you want to table it so that it's not considered tonight, you can move to table this item.
I think that was a fair question, though. What would be the implications of tabling this for 1 month?
Students won't have access to the materials for a month.
What I mean, are there teachers that were planning on incorporating this in their curriculum now? I mean, is there going to be?
Based on the
They don't have access to those materials right now. This would be complementary to the 4 or 5 classroom libraries that we provided for all the teachers that attended the Summer Literacy Institute, as well as the cohort that did not. We hope that this would also supplement that, so students would have access to more diverse text, would have an opportunity to engage in text with related themes and topics and standards, that they would provide more meaningful and relevant to them. I think that our goal is to provide more text, more opportunities for our students to read independently and with support.
But what I'm hearing from staff is students don't have access now, right? And so tabling it tonight would just mean that, yes, they still won't have access to it. Right.
So if you want to make a motion to table, Dr. McIver, or Is that what I
I'm
hear?
inclined that we put it to a vote. I mean, if,
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, and then it was moved and seconded, it's been discussed, it's time to vote on the matter.
Can we make a motion? Can I make a motion to?
To table. Go ahead.
Can I make a motion to table it
Yes.
till next month?
Yes, is there a second?
Yes, second.
It's been moved and seconded that we table action item number 35. Is there any comment, discussion, debate on that? Seeing none, please call on
I'm
the
sorry.
motion to
Yeah.
table.
Oh, on the
This is a motion to table
Yeah.
that's been moved and seconded, and if there are comments on that, only that?
I would say that I would like to vote on it tonight because I think no matter what answers come from the district, it doesn't get past the comments that were made by Ms. Rooney that I don't think need an answer. I think they're just obvious things that we should consider with this action item.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other comments on the motion to table? Seeing none, Ms. Rout, please call the roll on the motion to table action item 35.
Thank you. Ms. Dancy?
I'm sorry.
No, we
No,
have,
I need clarification on what I say. If I am voting not to table, I'm voting to bring it to a vote, am I saying yes, or am I saying, I just need to know what I...
So if you, this is a motion to table action item 35.
And we're voting
If you
on
want-
that.
If you, yes, that's the vote here. If you want to table action item 35 from tonight's consideration, you vote yes. If you do not want to table, in which case the vote would occur on the substantive motion, you vote no. Okay.
please call the roll.
Ms. Danzy?
No.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
No.
Mr. Huang?
No.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
No.
Vice President Walker?
No?
Pardon me?
No.
Thank you. President Wilkerson?
No.
Okay, by a vote of 6-2, the motion to table is defeated.
We have before us motion to adopt action item 35, a contract with Nuzlia. It's been moved and seconded. We've commented on that, and so it's now time to vote on action item 35. Ms. Rout, please call the roll.
Thank you, Ms. Danzy.
I'm voting no, not because I think it can give us more libraries and librarians, because it couldn't, but because I'm really not convinced that the students will really take the use of it as we should, particularly those who need it the most. One is accessibility. The other is that those who have access to it are probably also reading already at home. And so we need to find another way.
Ms. Fix Lopez.
No.
Mr. Huang.
Yes.
Dr. McColgan.
Again, I would need more information from the teachers and superintendents and principals to make sure that this is something they wanted. So I would vote yes if I had that information, but for now, I'm going to vote no.
Dr. McGinley.
I also have to vote no.
Dr. McIver.
No.
Vice President Walker.
Yes.
President Wilkerson.
Yes.
Thank you. Action item 35, by a vote of 5-3, does not pass.
Our next item for consideration is item number 37, a contract with Tailswind LLC Aviation Program at Frankfurt High School. Is there a motion to approve action item number 36? 37, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Action item 37 has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments, or would you like a presentation?
Question.
Okay, question.
At the meeting, we had a discussion about the purpose of this, and I'm not trying to get in the way of the purpose of it, but we were also told that the amount was going to change before it hit the agenda, and this is the same amount that was discussed at the meeting. So asking for clarity, is there a reason why it's still at this amount, or was it intended to be changed and it just got overlooked?
Good evening, Lucas of Waybrooks again. It is still one student, so the amount should have changed.
Is there a way to change that, the amount of this?
We could amend the resolution to specify the specific amount.
And what would the correct amount be for this?
It's half
Dr.
of
Brooks or
whatever.
Dr. Height?
So it's, yeah.
That's different from what I believe we talked about. I thought we were told that 80,000 was for 4, and there were going to be 2, so it was going to be 40,000. And now, right?
So it was the 40.
So
It's the
40. So is
yeah.
it 2 students or 1 student?
I know that whatever it was half of that. This is
Okay.
So if it's 4 students, then it's 2 students at the 40,000.
So I do have a follow-up question to that, because my notes tell me that there are 15 other students that are enrolled in this, like future students. And so are we to expect that we will get this for 15 more students times $20,000 each in the next 2 to 3 years? Or how does that work?
The current students are the ones that were eligible for the lessons. We are reconsidering and evaluating the program to determine its future.
Are these the first 2 students that would have this opportunity? So we would offer it and then take it away? I'm just wondering if I'm a student of those other 15, and I'm so excited because these 2 students got to do it, and then next year I'm told we're not going to do it.
That issue was discussed at the meeting. I believe that there at this time, for a number of reasons outside of the program, there were really only a couple of kids who would have been eligible, and this is the only student that is eligible.
Sounds like a pilot program, no pun intended.
But for that same reason, Ms. Fix Lopez, that's why we want to honor the students who actually are eligible to participate in the lessons.
Are there any other questions? So my understanding is we need to amend the item to cap the expenditure at $40,000, and so I'll entertain a motion to amend.
I move to amend item number 37 to the amount of $40,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on the amendment to change the dollar amount, the cap, to $40,000. Ms. Rout, please call the roll.
Thank you, Ms. Danzy.
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Huang.
Yes.
Dr. McColgan.
Yes.
Dr. McGinley.
Yes.
Dr. McIver.
Yes.
Vice President Walker.
Yes.
President Wilkerson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Now we have to vote on item 37.
Oh, thank you. It's
moved.
now time to vote on the motion as amended, and so it's time just to call the vote. Right. It's been moved and seconded. It was amended. It's now time to call the vote on action item 37 as amended.
Thank you. Ms. Danzy.
No, it's a laudatory program, but I'm not so sure at this juncture that's something we should be doing.
Ms. Fix Lopez.
No.
Mr. Huang.
Yes.
Dr. McColgan.
Yes.
Dr. McGinley.
Yes, it was a commitment made to the student.
Right.
Dr. McIver.
Yes.
Vice President Walker.
Yes.
President Wilkerson.
Yes.
Thank you. The action item passes by a vote of 6-2. Thank you.
Thank you. It is, let's see, where are we now? So we have pulled out items 6, 35, 37. We voted on 3 and 4. So it's time for the charter items? So it's now time to consider the charter items. That starts with item number 39, which is KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School. Is there a motion to approve action item 39? And Ms. Rao, will you please explain how we'll take this vote?
Yes, the motion is to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for KIPP West. So if a board member moves to ratify the approval, et cetera, then we will vote, and I will also clarify right before the vote how you will vote yes or you will vote no, depending on which way, if you want the approval or not.
And so is there a motion to approve action item 39?
I move to approve I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and the renewal charter for KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, Ms. Rout, please call.
Thank you, Dr. McGinley. Board members, a motion has been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School. When I call your name, either vote yes if you are voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for KIPP West Philadelphia Charter School, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item for consideration is action item 40. It is a KIPP West Preparatory Charter School forfeiture of charter. Is there a motion to approve action item 40?
I move to approve the forfeiture of charter for KIPP West Philadelphia Preparatory Charter School.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Ms. Rout, please call the roll on that.
Thank you, Madam President. Board members, a motion has been made and seconded to approve the forfeiture of charter for KIPP West Philadelphia Preparatory Charter School. When I call your name, either vote yes if you're voting to approve the forfeiture of charter for KIPP West Philadelphia Preparatory Charter School, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
This brings us to our next item, item 41, Francis D. Pistorius Mastery Charter School Act, an application for charter renewal. Ms. Rout, would you please read the form of the motion on this?
Yes, a board member will move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and the renewal charter for Francis D. Pistorius Mastery Charter School. If another board member seconds, we will vote.
Is there a motion?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Francis D. Pastorius Mastery Charter School.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Ms. Rout, please call the roll.
Thank you. A motion's been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Francis D. Pastorius Mastery Charter School. When I call your name, either vote yes if you are voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 42. It is a motion for the to approve the application for charter renewal for Hardy Williams Academy Charter School and the charter, right?
Yes, and the renewal charter.
And the renewal charter. May I have a motion on item 42?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Hardy Williams Academy Charter School.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, Ms. Rout, please call the vote.
Board members, a motion's been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Hardy Williams Academy Charter School. When I say your name, either vote yes if you're voting to ratify the approval and ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Hardy Williams Academy Charter School, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 43. It is an item for the application and approving the application of charter renewal in the charter for Mastery Charter School Cleveland. May I have a motion and a second to consider action item 43?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Cleveland Elementary, correct?
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Ms. Rout, please call the roll.
Board members, thank you for listening to me say this over and over. A motion's been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Cleveland Elementary. When I call your name, either vote yes if you are voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Cleveland Elementary, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 44, concerning Mastery Charter School Climber. Is there a motion to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Climber Elementary?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Clymer Elementary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, Ms. Rout, please call the roll.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Clymer Elementary. Board members, when I call your name, either vote yes if you are voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank
Our
you.
next item is item 45, a motion for the renewal, 45, a motion for the approval of the renewal of Mastery Charter Pickett Campus. And may I have a motion on item 45?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application for Mastery Charter School Pickett Campus.
Is there a second?
Second.
Just for clarification, I believe we need a motion to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Pickett Campus.
Is that what you're moving? Yes.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Are there any questions? Ms. Rout, please call the roll on item 45.
Thank you, President Wilkerson. Board members, a motion has been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Pickett Campus. When I call your name, either vote yes if you are voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Pickett Campus, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 46, the application for renewal of Mastery Charter School and approval of the charter. May I have a motion to consider and a second to consider action item 46?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Simon Gratz Campus.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, Ms. Rout, please call the roll.
Thank you. A motion's been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Simon Gratz Campus. When I say your name, either state yes if you're voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Simon Gratz Campus, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next item is item 47, Mastery Charter School Shoemaker Campus Application for Charter Renewal. May I have a motion on item 47?
I move to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Shoemaker Campus.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, Ms. Rauch, please call the roll.
A
The
motion
vote.
has been made and seconded to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Shoemaker Campus. When I call your name, either vote yes if you are voting to ratify the approval of the renewal application and a renewal charter for Mastery Charter School Shoemaker Campus, or vote no. Ms. Danzy?
Yes.
Ms. Fix Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Huang?
Yes.
Dr. McColgan?
Yes.
Dr. McGinley?
Yes.
Dr. McIver?
Yes.
Vice President Walker?
Yes.
President Wilkerson?
Yes.
Thank you.
I believe we've considered all the action items for this evening. That brings us to our speakers on general topics. Ms. Rauch, will you please invite the speakers up?
Yes, again, I want to remind members of the public that we are strictly enforcing the 3-minute time limit, and that the electric prompt is on the table. When the light turns yellow, you have 30 seconds to finish your comments, and when it turns red, your time is up. The next 5 speakers, please come to the front, and would Ahmed Lindsay please come to the table? Deborah Campbell Blair, Jana Pugsley, Tamara Anderson, Joshua Meyer, and Linda Clayette Wayman. Is Ahmed Lindsay here? Deborah Campbell Blair? Thank you.
Good evening. As a grandparent legal guardian of 2 students who currently attend Watson T. Comley School in Northeast Philadelphia, I am requesting that the board approve funding for the repaving of the schoolyard, as well as the installation of a fence, which will create a safe boundary for the student play area. I cannot express to you how appalled I am by the current condition of the schoolyard. You have recently gone on record with your action plan outlining how the district intends to improve all Philadelphia public schools. In Part 2, Section B, Action 9, the district has indicated that they will provide well-resourced, clean, comfortable, healthy, and safe school environments conducive to teaching and learning. As you can see from the photos I will submit that I've included, the schoolyard at Comley is far from safe, clean, or comfortable. There are many areas of uneven, cracked, and sinking pavement. As a result of the cracks and overall deterioration of the yard, there are many areas of gravel which are slippery and hazardous. The sinking areas fill up with pools of water, which create another hazard when the temperatures begin to drop and ice forms. There are also several utility access areas that are either secured in a dangerous fashion, are falling apart, and/or are not properly secured, thus creating unsafe areas that students are able to access while in the yard. The marble steps are cracking to the point that there are actual gaps between steps. Furthermore, the expansive size of the yard and its open concept is entirely too large for the limited number of staff to effectively monitor all students. After speaking with several other parents, it has come to my attention that no less than 3 students over the past 2 years, possibly more, have broken their arms by tripping and falling over cracks in the yard. In addition, there have been multiple incidents of scraped and bloody knees, elbows, and faces. I have witnessed cars illegally accessing the yard through the driveway, causing unsafe situations for students and parents walking through the yard at admission and dismissal. Additionally, I have personally witnessed 2 different autistic support students attempt to elope the yard play area when getting off their bus in the morning and during recess. Thankfully, the staff members in the yard were able to react quickly and prevent them from getting too far. This is definitely a cause for concern. I would like you to know that I previously looked into and attempted to obtain grant funding and/or donation of a play area for the school through outside organizations such as the Eagles and Kaboom, but unfortunately, due to the proximity to the local neighborhood playground, Comley does not meet the requirements for this type of funding. I thank you for your time and consideration of this matter and implore you to see that funding is provided in a timely fashion to create a safer school environment at Comley School. Thank you. Respectfully, Deborah Campbell Blair.
Thank you.
Jana Pugsley? Is Jana? Okay, thank you. Apologies if I mispronounced your name.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jana Pugsley, and I'm a recent graduate of Central High School and a current undergraduate student at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm here to urge you to adopt a year-long voter education policy for all high school students to build political efficacy and bolster civic engagement. When I learned about voting in my 12th grade civics class, my teacher provided voter registration applications to everyone who would be 18 by the next election. I was 17 at the time. I didn't even know I could still register to vote as long as I would be 18 by the next election until my teacher explained so. The whole process was very convenient and easy. One of my classmates in that 12th grade civics class was encouraged by our teacher to run for committee person, and we used his campaign as a way to learn about running for office, as well as when we vote for different offices beyond larger federal elections. My classmates and I were previously unaware that 18-year-olds could even hold certain public office in Philadelphia. He collected signatures and stood at the polls all day on election day. He won, and he's now serving a 4-year term. And as a committee person, he drums up voter turnout in his division, runs the polls on election day, and meets with his committee and his representative to discuss local issues. This process of seeing a fellow student and young person successfully run for office in Philadelphia gave my classmates and I a sense of political efficacy. It also allowed our teacher to extend the voting conversation over time. We were reminded of when to vote, which offices were up for election, and where each of our individual polling places were. This extended voter education kept political participation at the front of our minds. When that election day came around, I had just turned 18, and I was excited to vote in the first election in which I was eligible to do so. I voted in every election since, which isn't a lot because I'm still pretty young, but I plan to vote in every upcoming election. My civics class and I were lucky in the sense that this voter education experience was an anomaly. Most 18-year-olds I know are unaware of the logistics of voting, like when elections are or who's on the ballot, and they feel that their vote will not make a difference. I want to thank you for your continuing efforts for voter education, and as an alum of the School District of Philadelphia, I do urge you to adopt a year-long voter education policy for all high school students to build political efficacy.
Tamara Anderson.
Hello. First, I would like to thank Dr. Height, Dr. Wilkerson, and members of the Philadelphia Board of Education for actually last meeting approving the voter education and registration initiative. But we would like to actually talk about how initiatives come and go and how we would like for this initiative to become a policy, especially in this year where we're celebrating 100 years of the suffrage movement, yes? So, we, the undersigned, are writing to ask the Board of Education enact a policy to ensure that every student in the School District of Philadelphia will learn about the critical importance of voting and other forms of civic participation. Every eligible student in the School District of Philadelphia will have the opportunity to register to vote in school. The district uses available technology for voter registration and nonpartisan Get Out the Vote initiatives, and the policy include a statement of school district support for school staff and students engaging in nonpartisan voter engagement activities. And we know that American civics, when it is taught correctly and actively in school, makes not just lifelong voters, but lifelong participants in the political process, which we just heard a student decide to run for committee person. That would have never happened if the thought hadn't been trickled into their mind. We know that there's over 8,000 students who turn 18 each year in the School District of Philadelphia, and over 80% are students of color, and over 90% are from economically disadvantaged families. These students, their communities, their schools, and their city have issues, problems, and interests that need to be addressed by public policy. History has shown that people's concerns are much more likely to be heard by politicians if they turn out to vote. And we know that Harrisburg considers Philadelphia County to be a low voter turnout area, which is why sometimes our needs fall on deaf ears in Harrisburg. So just imagine if we were to make a new generation that turned that idea around, which would lead to more funding and more attention here in the city. We ask that all students should learn the history of suffrage, not just the major thing that happened in 1920, but the thousands of people that did not have the right to vote in 1920, so that we can celebrate every suffrage movement. We ask that this policy encourage the use of available technology for online voter registration, teachers and students participating in engagement activities. We thank you for making this, but we have an opportunity to join Los Angeles United School District, which has already passed a similar resolution. We have a chance to, the official policy enacted by the Philadelphia Board of Education is necessary and should happen today.
Dr. Height.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the speakers for presenting this information. I just want to call to the attention, I know we had quite a few, and thanks since the last time you came and we talked about this, a couple of things have happened. One, we had 53 educators who are representing 33 schools across the district who attended the voter education and registration professional development that was held a couple of weeks ago. In addition, we're having a district-wide or city-wide voter registration day on September 24th. And this is a kickoff event for high school civics education teachers and teachers across the city to work with partners to plan for registering as many children as possible who have turned 18 already. So I want to thank you for that. With respect to the other issues, we could talk about that in the policy meeting, and I think it's worth a worthy conversation. Thank you once again.
Linda Clyett Wayman, please come to the table. And also would Nick Bernardini, Garrett Wallace, Robin Cooper, Jessica Tilley, and Kate Severino please come to the front. Thank you.
Good evening. At the June 21st, 2018 meeting of the School Reform Commission, Dr. Height asked the SRC to eliminate the 9th grade from Strawberry Mansion High School for the 2019 school year for the planning purposes. I waited for the release of the transformation plan that it took a year long to, I waited for the release of the transformation plan for Strawberry Mansion after a year-long phase-out of the 9th grade never came. The inquirer completed a full-year observation of the school during this phase-out year and failed to release the transformation plan that took a year to create to the community and the families of their students. There have been nothing about the transformation plan released to the community, discussed in this forum, or published in the Inquirer, the Notebook, or the Tribune. So I submitted a standard right to know. I submitted a request under the right to know law with the Pennsylvania Department of Education to inquire about the grade configuration change at Strawberry Mansion High School. My right to know request was granted, and I was sent several documents submitted by the School District of Philadelphia via the superintendent's email. When I received the documents from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, they were dated July 18th, 2018. So you can understand my surprise when I saw my name, Linda Clyett Wayman, listed as the principal of the original configuration since I had retired over a year earlier on March 3rd, 2017. Dr. Tony Oyola was my successor, and Brian McCracken was his successor, assigned on July 1st of 2018. So either Dr. Tony Oyola or Brian McCracken should have been listed as the principal of the original configuration and or the principal of the composed reconfiguration. I want my name immediately removed from this paperwork that sits on file at the Department of Education. I need you to have this paperwork amended and resubmitted to the Pennsylvania Department of Education within 2 weeks. I will need a copy of the amended paperwork so I can follow up with the Pennsylvania Department of Education to assure the change has been made. Please provide me with the name of a contact person so I can follow up with them via email. Also, please document accurately in today's board minutes my demand to have the original memorandum to the Department of Education for approval of the grade configuration at Strawberry Mansion High School amended to reflect the truth. I look forward to hearing from you.
I inadvertently skipped Joshua Meyer earlier. Thank you.
My name is Josh Meyer. My daughter attends Meredith Elementary. I was devastated to learn that one of our teachers was diagnosed recently with mesothelioma. I'm also a radiation oncologist who treats mesothelioma and lung cancer patients. Our teacher's diagnosis has shined a light on the risk of asbestos exposure in our schools. To be clear, mesothelioma is not the only risk of asbestos exposure. It's just the one with the most direct link. Asbestos exposure can cause a number of other cancers, including cancers of the lung, throat, ovary, colon, and stomach. Asbestos exposure also places you at risk for other lung diseases that can dramatically impact your breathing and quality of life, even if you're lucky enough not to get cancer. It's easy to see how this asbestos exposure problem has not been addressed. It can take 10 to 40 years for the exposure to manifest as mesothelioma or other diseases. With other more immediate concerns, the risk can feel somewhat abstract, especially when our kids don't look any different coming home from school. But when I meet people who can't breathe, who are coughing up blood, whose lives have been cut short, it's 100% real. I treated a Philadelphia firefighter who spent his career rescuing victims from burning asbestos-laden buildings. By the time I met him, he had difficulty taking more than a few steps because the tumor had frozen large sections of his lungs, unable to move air in and out. His collarbone was invaded by the tumor, causing him severe pain that could not be controlled by the strongest medications. This big, strong, proud man could hardly get into the treatment position without crying. Mesothelioma is one of the worst cancers. Less than 10% of patients survive 5 years from their diagnosis. There are few treatments worth giving. Surgery is rarely an option. Aggressive radiation and chemotherapy may slow the cancer down a bit, but ultimately provide no cure and have their own severe side effects. Vulnerable children are being exposed to these risks in our schools. The documented risks to our teachers are even greater than to the kids. Still worse is the risk to the environmental staff who clean up asbestos dust falling from degrading plaster. It is unacceptable that the city would allow exposure to this deadly substance to anyone who sets foot in a public school. The most common occupational exposure of asbestos for women is in schools. The National Institute of Occupational Health and Safety listed elementary and middle school teaching as one of 3 occupations putting women at high risk of developing mesothelioma. We are already asked so much of our teachers, we cannot ask them to risk their lives. Asbestos in the Philadelphia public cannot be ignored any longer, calling for an urgent and dramatic response from the Board of Education, all relevant decision makers, in order to assure healthy and safe schools for all students, teachers, and staff.
Nick Bernardini? Is Nick Bernardini here? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nick Bernardini. I am the building rep and 12-year teacher at Samuel Fells High School, and I am here today to speak on behalf of the paraprofessionals in Samuel Fells and the School District of Philadelphia. Paraprofessionals in the Philadelphia School District are not respected. They work in the same building environments as teachers, in most cases work greater hours, deal with, in many cases, greater issues because they work in rooms with low incidence, autistic, and other special need populations. A paraprofessional's salary in the School District of Philadelphia has 6 steps. Step 1 starts at $14,700. Step 6, the final step, ends at $29,850. This is over $10,000 less than the starting salary of a Philadelphia school teacher. Most paras have second jobs to supplement their full-time work to survive. With this salary, they are forced to deal with physical abuse, sometimes violence, as well as traditional student needs. Presently at Fells, we are dealing with an outbreak of bed bugs in a classroom. And yet, paraprofessionals are still giving the same support every day with the threat of taking these bugs back to their personal homes. They are expected to show up in a professional manner daily in unhealthy work environments, just like Philadelphia school teachers. That includes bed bugs as well as asbestos, lead, and mold. In addition to these conditions, paras are being asked this year to monitor their daily minutes and locations throughout the school day on paper, and then have it signed by an administrator at the end of the week. Okay. This is a demand that was not collectively bargained for by the PFT and was not approved by the PFT and is thus in violation of our contract. We are asking you today to reflect on these matters and ask yourselves, are we truly treating paraprofessionals as professionals? In addition, we ask that you immediately remove the mandate to log their daily minutes and locations within their buildings and reopen negotiations this November with the PFT to dramatically increase both steps and starting salary to paraprofessionals that reflect their hard work that reflect their hard work and dedication, as well as providing them with learning opportunities to pursue teaching certifications while employed by the School District of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Sorry, Garrett Wallace. Is Garrett Wallace here? Okay. Robin Cooper. Is she here?
Good evening, Chairperson Wilkerson, school board members, Superintendent Height. I am Dr. Robin Cooper, President and Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 502, Commonwealth Association of School Administrators. Tonight, I want to express my appreciation and pride in CASA members and in all school district staff who are working hard to solve our environmental issues. This week, the issue was with possible asbestos hazards at Meredith and Nebinger schools, but we know that schools across the city have environmental issues that need immediate attention. CASA has been working hard to be a part of the solution. We began by participating in the establishment of the Lead Paint School Councils as a part of the Philadelphia Healthy Schools Coalition. And in moving forward, we're looking at the issues of asbestos and mold. At Meredith and Nebinger, the district facilities team met with stakeholders to review inspection data and to determine work priorities. This is a model that needs to be replicated in all of our schools who struggle with environmental issues. And we are supporting the vision and working with the district to establish a central facilities advisory board made up of administrators, school staff, parents, and school district personnel. To move our district forward, we believe there needs to be meaningful collaboration with all stakeholders, inclusive of data sharing and transparent oversight. With this approach, we can make our schools safer for students and staff. Thank you for all being active in your schools and for fighting for safe schools. Thank you for your attention.
Jessica Tilley. Jessica Tilley. Kate Severino.
Hi, my name is Jessica Tilley, and I've been working at Meredith for over 10 years. I have served this community alongside my friend and colleague who was recently diagnosed with mesothelioma, and felt it was important to stand here and express the fear and concern that our staff and families have experienced in the wake of this tragic news. At the school district's press conference last week, our chief operating officer said, quote, "We stand behind that our buildings are safe for our students and staff to come to every day." So what does safe really mean? Those inside our schools know there are many hazardous conditions that exist without timely and proper response, including lead, asbestos, mold, and more. Aside from my friend's diagnosis, there have been countless incidents where adults and children have reportedly become sick from the school they attend. Last week, a student in a West Philadelphia high school had to be taken by ambulance from school due to heat exhaustion. At SLA Ben Franklin, there have been reports of students who have had to leave the school due to asthma attacks and other breathing problems. And we know there are children in many district schools who are being exposed to dangerous lead paint conditions every day. How can we be reassured that our schools are safe when the facts tell a different story? How can we tackle this problem together when there is a great lack of clarity? If Meredith School was safe, why does our gym and first grade classroom need to be closed for an extended period of time in order to remove asbestos? I strongly believe that every person in this room wants what is best for our city's children. No one wants children or people who serve them to work in unsafe, unhealthy buildings. Every school in the city, many in worse condition than Meredith, deserve the same attention and level of urgency as Meredith is receiving right now. Every child, regardless of their zip code, deserves the opportunity to grow in a nurturing environment, not one that poses risk to their health. The challenges facing our district are great, insurmountable if we tackle them alone. We are proposing that the district work in collaboration with the union's Director of Environmental Science, school staff, and families to ensure high-quality assessments of every building. And once that audit is completed and made public, we want the district to work with all stakeholders on the development and implementation of a comprehensive plan. We know more money is needed, but a better approach is necessary too. I'm also asking every board member to spend a full day in a classroom. Don't just go for a tour. Go into a school on a hot day and spend it in a classroom that doesn't have air conditioning and is overcrowded. Spend the day in a classroom whose building has known environmental hazards. And after that day, determine whether you would be comfortable sending your child, grandchild, niece, or nephew into that same classroom. If your answer is no, I hope that we move to action, because at the end of the day, if we cannot provide our children and our staff with healthy environments, then we are part of the systemic inequity that continues to plague our society. Dr. Maya, do the best you can until you know better, and then when you know better, do better. We must do better.
Kate Severino. Thank you. And for the following group, please come to the front. Devin Miller, Horace Clouden, Mama Gale, Leah Clouden, and Edwin Desamore. Thank you. You can start.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kate Severino, and I'm a proud teacher of second graders at Meredith Elementary. September 3rd marked my third year teaching at Meredith and my 7th year teaching in Philadelphia Public Schools. I greet you with a heavy heart as one of my colleagues lays ill with a fatal form of cancer likely caused by asbestos exposure. In my classroom, children develop as creative thinkers, solving problems like 823 minus 545 in multiple ways. They blossom as writers, penning narratives about small moments and becoming experts on different animals. They devour picture books and chapter books, falling in love with diverse characters and growing as readers. None of this should take place in environments that put their health at risk. As a teacher, I wear many hats. I have many roles that coincide with my duties as a teacher, and I do them proudly. But one that I should never have to wear is that of a hazmat technician. I should not have to spend my days navigating hazardous obstacles while also trying to foster curiosity and build understanding in classes of 30 or more children. Cases of environmental hazards in schools have been well documented since 2015. This includes issues related to mold, deteriorated asbestos, and flaking lead paint, all potentially harmful to the lives of students and teachers. In the 7 years I've worked in Philadelphia school district buildings, I've never once received training or any form of education around how to keep students and myself safe from these hazards. All students and staff have the right to a safe and healthy learning environment, and clearly this has failed to happen, but at a bare minimum, students and staff should have the right to be aware of the threats that they're facing if those threats exist. The fact that I've been entering a classroom for the past 7 years essentially unaware and uninformed about how to keep myself and others and my students safe is absolutely unacceptable. Studies have shown that teacher retention is a key indicator of student success. Thus, it follows that the School District of Philadelphia should prioritize attracting and retaining effective teachers. On top of the endless obstacles that teachers already face, how can we possibly expect them to work in a school where their health is put at risk? If these environmental concerns are not met with immediate and comprehensive action, I fear that our beloved kids in this city will lose great educators as a part of their communities, and the district will miss out on opportunities to attract new talent and to the teaching profession here in Philadelphia. I would like to conclude by emphasizing this is clearly not a Meredith-specific issue and shouldn't be treated as such. This is an environmental injustice, a systemic issue that we must address urgently and holistically across the city of Philadelphia. Taking a triage approach to these abatements and remediations has never been and can no longer be an acceptable form of justice. It's time to end the reckless legacy of asbestos, lead, and other hazards in the Philadelphia schools. I urge the board to take swift action in all schools. When we know better, we need to do better.
Devin Miller. Is Devin Miller here? Horace Clouden? Mama Gail? Thank you.
I had one thing to talk about, but listening to all that I've listened to, I have several things to talk about. I'm going to do it as quickly as I can. The young lady talked about 2015. I believe that was the year that we discovered the contaminated water at West Philly High, the new West Philly High. I believe that was the year. I could be off. The school was built in 2011. I think it was 2016, because the school was built in 2011. And the water was contaminated, what we were told, as a result of copper pipes and galvanized steel put together. That was a new school, and that happened when that school was being built. And when I say the word born, I'm thinking in terms of the young lady back there that talked about this being 100 years for women's suffrage, and it's been 400 years for our suffrage. Plus, people say 400. I was told it was more like 500. But we talk about 400 years ago, and at the time that we are remembering our ancestors that came across and were brought to Virginia, to think of the suffering that we've been through all these years, and now our children are going through something else. Same kind of stuff. But I said something else because the environment wasn't called the environment before. As I sit here, having been around over 30 years in the district doing stuff, I think about the young lady who, an elder friend of mine, said he had taken his daughter to Florida, his children to Florida. He had 3 girls. And this was the old West Philly High, and I just thought about it while I was sitting there. And she got sick at Disney World, and he went to the hospital there, and her whole chest, he said, was full of cancer. She was treated, came to school, and her head was bald, and she was teased as a result of it. I have so many stories as I sit here listening to this. There's so much pain and suffering. I was at Strawberry Mansion yesterday, and a woman came down the street who went there, who was a mother, and she had part of her tongue cut off because she had cancer in the throat. And I talked to her, and she said, I want to volunteer. I want to volunteer, she said. I want to volunteer. And let me tell you something. This woman who had part of her tongue cut off because she didn't have insurance. Didn't have insurance, so nobody here will wait on her in the emergency. She couldn't get past it in Philly. Went to Baltimore, Johns Hopkins, and had to wait a month. That's why her tongue was cut off. What about all these children that don't have insurance? The adults can stand. We always talk about it's about the children. I'm sorry for the lady and all the folks that are sick. Talked about the policy. The money that you keep spending on stuff, you need to compare other estimates, because the money that you keep spending on stuff is too much. I don't have a whole lot more to say, but I'm going to say this. Paul said you have can't do it half-ass. Yeah, I'm cursing. And somebody has to do studies on your side to see what's going on. Not accept what is being given to them that's unacceptable. Excuse me, to you that is unacceptable. Stuff that's unacceptable. I don't have a whole lot more to say. I thought about not even talking tonight because I'm looking at these little beings that are walking up and down. Oh, innocent. People saying, oh, they eat paint chips. That's how they got lead poisoning. Eating paint chips. I don't know how many black children or other children that eat paint chips. They've been exposed to stuff. You can call it whatever you want. You are talking the truth so that we
Leah Clouden. Leah Clouden. Okay, thank you. Edwin Desamore. Okay, I'm going to call the next group to come up to the front, please. Cindy Farlino, please come to the table. Victoria Sipes, Aileen Callahan, Sherry Michaud, and Katia Perez. Thank you.
Good evening.
Why does a teacher
Good-
have to get sick?
Good evening.
Why do you do something? What about all these babies that have been sick and nobody talked for them? Think about everybody. All of them.
Good evening, Chairperson Wilkerson, Dr. Height, and school board members. As a member of the Administrators Union, CASA, and a representative of the Healthy Schools, Philadelphia Healthy Schools Initiative, I address you tonight with some hope and optimism. First, I would like, as others have done, to honor my friend and colleague who is presently fighting a life-threatening asbestos-related cancer. And I'd like to say that even in the midst of her health crisis, she continues to raise the issue of safety for all staff and all students in the Philadelphia schools. In the spirit of her words, we need to make sure that all of our work for safer schools counts. On a positive note, I'd like to talk about solutions to safe environments in our schools. We are asking the support from our school board on a new initiative. Our district, under the leadership of our COO, Chief Operating Officer, is poised to establish a district-wide facility and environmental advisory committee that was alluded to earlier, which builds on the work that we have been involved in with paint and lead stabilization for over this year, and will be building on the working group model that was formed at Meredith School this week. This larger district-wide facility environmental committee will be made up of faculty, administration, the union officials, parents, technical experts, and of course, district environmental personnel. This will be a multi-issue working group. Our goal includes meaningful collaboration, transparency and data sharing, joint planning and prioritizing work in schools, shared decision-making, and oversight on environmental work. We are about the relentless pursuit of results that impact across the district, not just in individual schools. Those will be the principles that we work from. Thank you so much for your time again. Again, we are full of hope as we move forward for safer schools.
Victoria Sipes. Victoria Sipes. Aileen Callahan. Oh. Who is Victoria? Yes, thank you.
Oh, do I give you all of it? Good evening, board. I want to lighten the mood a little bit. So I wrote a little thing, and it's called To All Who Love a Great Story. I am writing this letter for many reasons. You would not believe how remarkable this story is until you actually hear it from a parent's point of view. So here you go. Hi, my name is Victoria Sipes, and I am the parent at John B. Stetson Charter School, located at B and Allegheny Avenue in our Philadelphia section, and do I have a story to tell you? My daughter, Salma Muhammad, is now going into her 3rd year here at the school. I am a parent who is very involved, so involved that I became a vice president of the PTO last year. I have also volunteered for various other extracurricular activities as well. Now, if anyone knows anything about John B. Stetson Charter School, you would know that this wasn't always a great school. Every time I tell people that my daughter goes to the school, they always seem to make a face and perceive, well, ooh, that's such a bad school. Well, maybe it used to be. The school that it is now is actually pretty amazing. So let me start by telling you why. I'm not sure where to start, so I'm going to start explaining to you what this school actually does for its students, not only for the students, but the parents as well. For starters, the school provides breakfast with families every month or so for the students and their parents and their family members. This is because the school is dedicated in providing information to the families in regard to the happenings with the school and their community. They encourage the families to be involved as much as possible, and I love that. We have many families that are homeless within our school community. So many go without food, clothes, and the basic essentials that every family needs. Stetson has what they call the community center. The community center is like no other. It offers food to families in need every month. They also have clothing that they donate to these families as well. Families are also able to wash and dry their laundry for free. They also provide free uniforms for those who cannot afford them. The community center also has computers so that these families can look for employment. They don't only do this for the families within the school, they also do this for the families in their community. So how amazing is that? Unfortunately, the school is located in one of the roughest of neighborhoods. They are dead smack in the middle of the opioid crisis. This does not make it easy for them, as every child's safety is their main priority. So bravo to all the teachers and the staff in their efforts to make sure that every student gets home safely. We even have some teachers and staff who will walk the students home. That is how much the school cares about these kids. This school has overcome many obstacles and continues to provide for the students and their families food, clothes, uniforms, shoes, and just an ear to listen or a shoulder to cry on. Mr. Mullen, the principal of this amazing school, has been such a great support system for the teachers and the staff and to us parents as well. The school is always doing something to give back to its community, and as you have already heard. Well, it doesn't end there. Just recently, they celebrated their 9th annual community event on August 23rd, 2019. The school's goal was to give away 500 book bags. They also provided food, music, games, mood mounts, and even student haircuts. We as parents love this and how much they genuinely care about the school, the students, the parents, as well as their community. So please let's continue to allow John B. Stetson to not only help the students and their parents, but our community as well, because many of the students and parents are the community. Thank you very much.
Aileen Callahan.
Thank you, teachers, parents, and the stakeholders of Philadelphia School District for attending today. I'm constantly humbled by the passion and love I feel in this room for the children of Philadelphia. As a mother, I thank you for throwing down for my son alongside your children, and I hope to return the solidarity to the best of my ability. My name is Aileen Callahan. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a resident of Port Richmond, the chair of the steering committee of Reclaim, and a member of the Our City Our Schools Coalition. The Our City Our Schools Coalition led the fight in eliminating the SRC so that we have a body that is accountable to young people, their families, educators, and community members. This past year, we have been taking stock of the new school board and have created a report card. You have the entire report card before you, so I'll focus on the most impactful portions of this report card: student and parent engagement, charter school accountability, and spending priorities. The power of this body lives in these pillars. To have power, you need two things: organized people and organized money. In regards to organized people, there are three main suggestions for improvement. Increase access, with intentional scheduling to the needs of working families, such as childcare, steps to transportation, and timeliness of action items being presented. 2, increase transparency by documenting questions and answers, then providing the information online and at the next meeting. 3, have accountability systems around issues presented at monthly meetings, and establish a student panel to dig deeper into the issues that directly impact them and give the students a voice in their school district. These changes can transform the parent-school relationship as it stands now. 16 years of major harm were completed during the time of the SRC. Trust cannot be built overnight, but transparency and good faith measures towards accountability are essential for this board so that parents can begin to heal and build trust amongst the school district leadership and with this body. In regards to organized money, you must take bold action as a collective who is committed to the prosperity of our children. Stand up for the people and children of Philadelphia by immediately prioritizing spending around remediation of current toxic conditions in our schools, by advocating for the end of the 10-year tax abatement. This body must publicly advocate for safe, healthy schools and work with City Council and the Mayor to address spending priorities to accomplish this. This must be a top priority of this board, and our efforts of pushing City Council will be stronger if you are on our side. 2, create a mission statement and commit to building in-house district expertise, union jobs, and public scrutiny in the school district spending. Align spending with anchor goals and mission statements. Engage diverse community stakeholders in creating the mission statement. I trust that the community has some serious funds of knowledge in this. This is the People's Report Card. Show us that we can trust you. Can you commit to standing on our side by publicly advocating for the end of the 10-year tax abatement?
That's not rhetorical.
It's not rhetorical.
Sherry Michaud. Sherry Michaud? Okay. Katia Perez?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Katia Perez. I am the Philadelphia lead organizer at Make the Road Pennsylvania. Make the Road builds power for justice in our communities. I am also a member of this community, and I'm here to ask that the School Board of Philadelphia renew John B. Stetson's charter. John B. Stetson is a staple of the community in Kensington. We at Make the Road have several members from the Kensington neighborhood, and we're very aware of the difficulties and plight faced by the neighborhood. John B. Stetson not only acts as a middle school, but also as a community center. They provide meals for students who suffer food insecurity at home. John B. Stetson organizes back-to-school drives to ensure their students have the tools needed to fully participate in their education. John B. Stetson Middle School incorporates a holistic approach to address truancy at their school. They actually check in on their students and their home environment to get them on a regular school attendance plan, instead of just entering them into the school-to-prison pipeline. The Philadelphia School District has a reputation for failing its students in the public schools. We're asking that you renew the license of John B. Stetson Middle School, a school that's actually succeeding.
I'm going to call the next 5 speakers. Please come to the front. Amber Phelps, please come to the table. Tanya Parker, Daniel Simons, Raina Weddington, and Barbara Dowdall.
everyone. I would like to thank Mama Gail for her testimony. I came here as a parent. I'm a parent. I also work in the school district as a TSS worker and an advocate for the youth. I'm going to keep this real brief, simple. I just wanted to say how I noticed, like, I also have a 10-year-old. She goes to Lauren Warren. How is a decrease in the teachers and more of a concentration for disciplinary actions and school police. I feel like with that being, I feel like we should get back to what we can make our funds into, like for music, arts, things of that such. It's unfair that these kids got to walk through metal detectors and they're only in elementary and middle school. With that being, focusing on like the violence is really like, is not a good thing. And I just don't want our children to be set up for failure into like a prison system and not guarantee what their future is supposed to be. Sorry, I'm really nervous. It's my first time. Okay. That's all I really wanted to say. Is I don't want our kids in the system of in the Philadelphia education system growing up to be built for our prison system. And as a parent, I want to know what can we do to change that. I just lost my sister-in-law 2 weeks ago from a 19-year-old who just graduated not too long ago, who also was a mother, and it's heartbreaking, and I'm frustrated, and I'm done. Sorry.
I want to thank you for coming. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Tanya Parker.
Good evening. I know it's been a while since I've been here because I've been on my best behavior, but unfortunately, I had to come. Strawberry Mansion has now been turned upside down. The leadership does not have the capabilities to run the school. We know that he's supposed to be the principal on paper, but he's not acting like the principal of the school. A lot of our veteran teachers have now left, but I do have one question that I would like to ask this panel. When it was that I was at a meeting as a stakeholder, and you was all talking about phasing out Strawberry Mansion because you had a plan that made you truncate our 9th graders. What's the plan? Because by 21, we're supposed to be done by your plan. So what is the plan? Instead of things getting better, they're getting worse. We had a task force, a workforce, and anything that group had put together for us, I do not see it materializing. Once again, because we below the poverty line, we now come with wishes and dreams that have been broken like falling stars from out of the sky. Nothing's been done that's said to be done. Or you're fixing up the building. But where's the program so that the children would want to come and attend Strawberry Mansion? Why is it that the community is being cut out? I now have to argue again. Can I please have my meetings in Strawberry Mansion? I now have to argue again about anything that the community wants to do in order to be part of this school. I'm sick and tired of it. I put my time in, and then on top of that, I've been disrespected with in-house fighting. I'm not going to settle for in-house fighting, Dr. Height, and I don't even think that's one of the rules that you made up for this school board. So therefore, I come by myself, for myself, representing the community that we are not irrelevant and we are not insignificant. We are both very irrelevant and very insignificant. To those who might think that we're not educated or those who might think that we're helpless, no, we're hopeful and we will fight because we are Mansion Knights, for we are Mansion.
Next speaker is Daniel Simons. I do want to announce for the record that Sherry Michaud submitted her testimony in writing on the topic of English language learners and specifically Policy 138. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pia Martin, and I am a health and physical education teacher, and I've been in the district for 27 years. I'm currently the phys ed teacher at the campus for Science Leadership Academy. I am a PFT member, and I'm speaking on behalf of Dan Simmons. Early on in my career, I went to a school district professional development. It It was called All Means All. It was about diversity. There are people who still in this building carry around that lovely burlap sack that we were given. My takeaway from that was, don't defend the indefensible. Ben Franklin, teaching and learning in an active construction site all last year and continuing to this year with SLA joining, was indefensible. But here we are now. Thoughtful systems are being put in place, and hopefully we are on a path. SLA amplified Ben Franklin's voice, and together, concerned and trusted adults made sure that needs and concerns were heard and addressed. And now we need to stand in the gap to make sure that other school community voices are heard. Humans should not have to choose between their health, their education, or their jobs. We can do better, we need to do better. Students, staff, communities deserve better. To disregard, dismiss, divide, and to wear down school communities because of perceived lack of advocacy, organization, or political capital is cruel. And then to celebrate them for their resilience is morally bankrupt. Construction, building improvements, repairs, cleanups are necessary and needed, but they should not cause trauma to an often traumatized population. Active construction, repair, improvement, cleanup need to happen in a thoughtful, detailed process. Stakeholders, students, parents, staff members, those experts of their needs and their school communities need to be at the table from the beginning to the middle to the end. It needs to include a realistic timeline, stringent safety measures, perhaps to the level that we all want in our own homes. It should also include backup plans because stuff happens. This process should never be a punch list, value engineered, or beyond the scope of work. Thank you.
Raina Weddington, Barbara Dowdell, Robin Roberts, Diane Payne. Come to the front. Our next speaker, though, is Raina Weddington here? Barbara? It's you.
In the 1989 film, Field of Dreams, a disembodied voice tells an Iowa farmer, if you build it, he will come. More prosaically, if you believe the impossible, the incredible can come true. For the farmer, it was a dream he already had of the baseball greats from the dishonored Chicago White Sox of 1919 appearing on his field to play. Philadelphia Public School students, parents, staff, and community members want this Board of Education to be the farmer who hears their voices and shares their dreams. Voices sometimes whispering with hope of true equity of resources, of restored libraries with librarians, of enriching after-school extracurriculars, of small classes, of safe and healthy buildings, and sometimes crying out in anguish at the closing of their neighborhood schools. Voices that found their way to 16 years of SRC years without finding a hint of shared vision and dreams. With exceptions of two people here, perhaps. So we say to you today, hear these voices and show us that you share these dreams. Build a district, and beautiful days will come. Next month, I will share my dream of bringing a public school back to the heart of my community, Germantown.
I'm going to ask the next group to come to the front, please. Robin Roberts, Diane Payne, George Bizanis, and Ben Schindler. And for the record, Edwin Desamore left written testimony in support of John B. Stetson Charter School.
Hello. I've worked for the Extended School Year program for the past 4 years, and I appreciate the opportunity to help our students stay on track academically during this critical time where so many students seem to slide. Each year there are consistent and specific challenges, and this year was particularly egregious. Each year there's a problem with the fitting of the furniture. When ESY is in an elementary school, the high school kids don't have furniture to sit in. When it's in a high school, the kindergartners through second graders don't have furniture to sit in. it shouldn't be that difficult to bring appropriate sized furniture for this program from other schools. Also this year, ESY materials were pretty absent. There was one scripted intervention program that was provided for all of the students. Students who worked on more beneficial curricular programs the entire year were expected to make progress with a whole new program. I don't understand how that aligns with their individual education plans. The food. Many times the breakfasts and lunches were inedible. They were served frozen. Everything, the entree, the milk, the fruit were all frozen. Children were still told to eat it, and most sat hungry. Look, it can't be that difficult to ensure that food is ready to eat when we truly want our students ready to learn. In addition, there was a change in the program like week 3 with the program that I was in, where students had to physically come to receive their lunches and, their breakfasts and carry it back to their classrooms to eat it there. This ate up 20 to 30 minutes of curricular time, and the reason that was given was because too much food was being taken when breakfasts were delivered to the classrooms. I don't even understand how that's possible. Why is there rationing of food for this program? In this city with so many people living in poverty or deep poverty, in this district where food insecurity is a significant issue for many of our students, especially in the summer, why are we not having additional food available for students to take home if needed? The extended program should function seamlessly. The district funds this program from federal dollars based on the thousands of Philadelphia public school students that are identified to benefit from this additional resource in their IEPs. It is not based on who shows up. Many of those who do not show up, many students do not show up. And do we wonder why? I don't think so. Instead, rosters are made in excess of 50 students in the classroom. Classrooms are combined, like having 2 autistic support classrooms in the same space because there is no space. And there is combining of educational programming like LS and ES students as if the differences in those programs mean nothing in the summer. The district's actions need to match its stated priorities. These issues are not difficult to fix to create an ESY program that helps all of our students succeed.
Diane Payne. Okay, thank you. George Bizanis.
Have to press that? Good evening, school board members. My name is George Bizanis, and I'm here to support other educators, paraprofessionals, and PFT members who have already spoken about the dangerous work conditions we and our children must face each and every day. They deserve a fair contract, and that's what I'd like to address tonight. As you are no doubt aware, the PFT's contract expires in less than a year. Let's crunch some numbers as we get ready to negotiate. Our paraprofessionals, as you have heard, have a starting salary of $15,000. The average starting salary in America for an earned bachelor's degree in 2019 is $60,600, while master's degree earners start at $80,000. Our teachers, nurses, and counselors start at $44,000 and need to work in the district for over a decade while earning the equivalent of 2 masters in order to even approach that starting salary of $80,000. As wages have grown steadily over the past decade during the longest economic expansion in history, inflation has kept those gains in check. Sadly, the PFT has been doubly hit. Since 2012, the Social Security COLA, cost of living adjustment, has increased by 10% for millions of Americans. Since 2012, my car and homeowners insurance has gone up 16%. My property taxes have gone up by 32%. And yet, since 2012, the salary schedule I and PFT members were promised, controlling for increased healthcare contributions, has effectively gone up by a mere 0.5%. If we take inflation into account, that COLA number I gave you, PFT members are now earning 9.5% less than they were 7 years ago. On top of that, we get to work in asbestos-crumbling buildings while spending hundreds of our inflation-adjusted dollars on copy paper and school supplies. With these salaries and work conditions, it's no wonder you can't attract more of the best and brightest graduates, more teachers of color, and other highly qualified staff members that our children so desperately need. Finally, in order to put that 0.5% raise PFT members got in perspective, I looked up some salary increases of other non-PFT employees in this room over the past few years, those that are have remained. Dr. Height, for example, earns $317,902 today. That's a 6% increase since 2014. Naomi Wyatt, Chief Talent Officer, $200,000. That's a 14% increase since 2014. Melanie Harris, CIO, $176,000 today, 7% increase. Karen Lynch, Chief Student Support, $187,000 today. That's an 11.5% increase since 2014. PFT members who have sacrificed so much ask to be treated as fairly. In order to simply keep our salaries at the same level they were in 2012, we need at least a 10% wage increase for all PFT members across the board. That's the baseline, 10%, just to keep our salaries the same. Give us that minimal respect and healthy working conditions, and you've got yourself a contract.
Ben Schindler? Is Ben Schindler here? Thank you.
That brings us to the end of our meeting. On behalf of the board, I'd like to invite you to our next Finance and Facilities Committee meeting, which will be held on October 10th at 3 p.m., and our Student Achievement Support Committee meeting will be held on October 10th at 5. Both meetings will take place in the board committee room downstairs in Suite 101. You can visit our website for the full calendar of meetings. Our next action meeting will take place in this room on Thursday, October 17th at 5 p.m. And as Ms. Danzy indicated earlier, we have a public hearing on, Ms. Danzy? September the 26th at 5 p.m. Thank you. Let's see what else we have here. Similar to our public hearing in the last June, the meeting on the 25th will be an opportunity to provide feedback on the board's priorities: student achievement, transparency and accessibility, one system of quality schools, and financial stability. At this meeting, we'll also introduce members of our Parent and Community Advisory Council. And more information on the public hearings and our priorities can be found by visiting the school board's website. We look forward to hearing your feedback. This brings us to the end. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Second. Aye.
It's a privilege resolution, doesn't require a second. Thank you so much for attending this meeting of the Board of Education. Actually, that's a privilege resolution, not requiring a second. I worked with the best.
Well, you made it through your first.